In for Joe Murray tonight. Sean Sylver here, and you there. Jeff Williams at the controls. And you are welcome to join us through the evening at 617-779-0985. I'm on X at the Silver Fox, Silver with a Y. You want to hit me up anytime between now and 11 p.m. It is no Joe, no Skaz. That's a dynamic duo, right? They're like the Legion of Doom of nighttime sports talk radio. It's a tough combination to go up against. I don't know what me and Jeff Williams would be. Maybe the Hart Foundation. I don't want to say Demolition, because a lot of people say that's a cheap imitation of the Road Warriors.
I like the Hart Foundation comparison.
Hart Foundation. Who's the Hitman? Who's the Anvil here?
You can be Hitman. I can be
because I got the
beard.
You've got the beard. Do you have the laugh?
I don't know if I can pull that off right now, though. Maybe later on in the show.
Exactly. We're going 4 hours here on the Friday after the 4th of July, nestled gently in between the holiday and the weekend. There is some stuff going on out there in the world of sports tonight, and we're going to talk about really all of it. I mean, one, you got me here. Two, you got NBA. I don't know, we're in the offseason here. Free agency. There was some stuff going down Sunday night, Monday. Or when was, I've lost track of all time this week. When was July 1st? Let's see, the 4th was yesterday, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd. The 1st was Monday. Okay, so late into the night, June 30th, early morning, July 1st. The NBA had some stuff going down, but it's kind of quiet. Franz Wagner signed a deal with the Magic. There's a few free agents still out there. But for the most part, stuff is kind of settling down. We got Red Sox Yankees over at Fenway. We got Wimbledon going on. We got the Euros. We've got Copa America. I'm trying to think, we got a golf tournament, John Deere Classic. There's a lot of live sports. The Cape League's playing down there tonight. I'm sure the stars of tomorrow are shining today. Jeff and I were talking coming in at summer concerts, really kicking into high gear probably for the summer concert swing. I got a big one coming up this month. Jeff had several. We're going to talk sports, music, food. I don't mean to bury the lead, but I think we got some great guests. We're going to have 98.5 The Sports Hub and the Sports Hub Underground own Matt Dolloff joining us at 8:20. The definitive NBA comedian and what's becoming a bit of a ritual here around NBA free agency, Mike Zakarian, joining us at 9:20. And like I said, we're going up to 11 with you at 617-779-0985. Get started here, of course. What's Sean's biggest nemesis at the station? I mean, there's probably a variety of things that you could answer. But for me, it's just simply logging into the computer. And this is relatable talk, right? This is relatable talk because everyone, I assume, in 2024 has to log into a computer for some form or fashion, right? Sometimes you have the multi-factor authentication. There we go. I got my code, approve. Can I get in this time? Let's do it. I want to see that call screener. I want to see the names popping up. I want to get going there. My gosh. All right. So as we settle in, I just wanted to open up tonight, and we'll do plenty of socks, probably later on in the show when the game's over. Again, we're wide open. But I want to start C's. I'm comfortable. Are you comfortable? I know that things are going to get a little bit uncomfortable for the Celtics, presumably at the end of this decade, right? Presumably because there's going to be an ownership change, and over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to have to ask the hard questions. And the Celtics, right now, they're riding high. Their value as an entity and their value in the fans' eyes has got to be as high as it's ever been. 64 wins, fourth most all-time in franchise history, behind the 86 team, the 08 team, and the 73 team. You went 16-3 in the playoffs. And it was interesting. There was a tweet. You still call them tweets? Whatever. Mike Vorkunov on the X machine. Back when the Celtics were trying to put him away, he posted a table of teams that had fewer than 3 losses in the postseason. And there are very few. Since the NBA has switched to a 4-round format to get it done, only 5 teams have had less than 3 losses in the playoffs. That would be the 2017 Warriors, the 01 Lakers, the 99 Spurs, 91 Bulls, and 89 Pistons. Celtics went 16-3. So they're one of those 3-loss teams. They're right below that elite level, right? But you know what you're on par with? The 96 Bulls, who went 15-3. Remember back then you only had a 5-game first round, best of 5? So the Celtics had the same playoff run that the 96 Bulls did by quality of winning percentage. If you want to talk about quality of opponent, too, the 96 Bulls beating what? The Kemp and Peyton Sonics in the finals? Don't tell me the late 90s Bulls had a whole lot of resistance in the playoffs from really good all-time teams. There weren't any. Maybe in the 80s when they were losing to the Knicks or the Pistons, but by that time, no. The Celtics did what they had to do. They blew through the regular season, didn't face a whole lot of adversity. When they faced adversity in the playoffs, they closed it out. They showed that they had grown up. And yeah, they are modeled on some sort of statistical basis here. Joe Mazzulla answers questions about, what's going on the court and how it plays with the premise of expected results, right? And I heard Felger going on about this earlier in the week. Expected results. What's supposed to happen because you're shooting a bunch of threes or whatever. Hey, the Celtics have a game plan. They have a process. Joe Mazzulla is very invested in that process. But you know what the difference is between last year's Celtics team and this year's Celtics team was? Is the fact that the process had some stones. All right? That when their process failed to work, that they were able to adapt and that they were able to get that real grit in those tough situations and close it out. They grew into that. That's not something that can be represented on a spreadsheet, but it's certainly something that gets represented in wins. And that's why he had 64 wins and went 16-3 in the playoffs. So you've got basically a team that blew away the rest of the league. What do you do? This week, the amount of money, the amount of cash that was splashed is almost irrelevant. You got Jason Tatum back. He's here through 2029. We know that Jaylen Brown's here through 2028. Derek White now here through 2028. Drew Holiday is here through 2027. Kristaps Porzingis is here through 2026. You got Al Horford says he's coming back, or we heard through the grapevine that Al Horford's coming back next year. Now this week you've re-signed Cornette, Xavier Tillman, which I think is a sneaky good move. As long as the knee is healthy, that is probably your highest upside among these big guys. This 3-headed monster, Cornette, Tillman, and Queta. And I just think Xavier Tillman's versatility, if he can work on his shooting a little bit, he's still 24, 25 years old. If he can work on his shooting, which may not have been a focus in Memphis for him, but is part of the requisite to be successful with the Celtics here, if he can work on that, he's going to contribute when you're missing Kristaps Porzingis for 30, 35, 40 games, whatever it winds up being. Peyton Pritchard's going to be here a while. Sam Hauser, we now know, is coming back. John Corrales wrote earlier this week, Boston Sports Journal, the Celtics will almost be exactly identical next season, and it's their best chance at an identical result. Corrales said this: it's like running out of gas in a place you never want to leave, or maybe driving to a place they know they want to stay, but filling the tank only enough to get there. Either way, they were stuck, but they were stuck with a team that they know works. Is it really all that big of a problem to just bring back the Celtics and run it back? The rest of the league has a lot of catching up to do. And we've seen the Philadelphia 76ers make a big move. We've seen out west the Oklahoma City Thunder make a couple of moves to try and improve their all-around team. And there's an article that was written earlier in the week by Tom Haberstroh that I'll reference at some point in this opening hour here, that it's not the era of the big three anymore. It's the era of the big five. The Celtics have the prototype, if that's going to be the era. Guys that have all-star experience, guys that have championship experience, guys that at one point in their careers either are now or were at one point a superstar, all-star caliber player. And that they got that professionalism all up and down their starting five, and it's leaking into the bench. So, yeah, they'll be the favorites next year. And, yeah, the Philadelphia 76ers did something big, I guess. You got Paul George. I'll give you my thoughts on that. You can give me your thoughts on that at 617-779-0985. But I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I want to know if there's anything that makes you uncomfortable. Because I see it this way. The Celtics, I'm not really worried about what comes after this. I feel like Celtics fans are probably the most, if things go south, right? If the Celtics have a window, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I think the Celtics fans are positioned to take that probably better than any other fan base here in Boston. The Bruins never close their window because the Bruins are always trying to get some home playoff games and be just good enough and get people talking and fill that building and increase ticket prices. And, you know, other than last year, or 2 years ago, when Sweeney really went for it at the deadline, when did the Bruins really, really step out of their skin and go for it? The Patriots, we all know what that was. They're going to be bad for a while, and it's already a hard adjustment for fans because they think they can hold that organization to a high standard. The high standard was was a confluence of some very great things there, and Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and a cast of characters and talent that will never again be seen on that football field here in New England. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Who could ever have that? The Red Sox fans, they clearly can't handle the fact that they're no longer in the top 10 in payroll, that the team isn't what it once was. People seem to forget what the Patriots were in the 90s, what the Red Sox were in the 90s, and what the Bruins truly are. The Celtics have gone all in for right now. They have given fans everything that they could ever ask for right now. It better damn work out, and I want to get into the importance of winning more than one. There's some historical comparisons to make here. There's some talk with the 08 Celtics and the window that they had back there, but if the Celtics are going to be good for a few years and then things change, we'll deal with it then. But I think we're getting a fair shake right now. I'm appreciative of that as a fan, and we'll see if they can back up all the hype. Again, Sean Sylver in with you. Jeff Williams at the board. We'll be here till 11 o'clock. Hopefully hearing from you. If you're out there in Radio Land, we are here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Runners and walkers, join me, Dave McGilvery, and my Finish Strong Foundation at the 3rd annual Run Medfit on September 27th and 28th. Register now to run or walk and learn more at runmedfit.com.
Who's New England's largest independent tire dealer? Town Fair Tire. Who sells Bridgestone tires at the guaranteed lowest price? Town Fair Tire. Who gives you the most free services for life when you buy your Bridgestone tires? Town Fair Tire. And who beats a Town Fair Tire deal? Nobody. So why buy Bridgestone tires anywhere else? Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Ah, the sounds and smells of summer. That's more like it. Drains by James lives for this time of year, when the heat and humidity are at their peak. The last thing you need is a clogged drain or toilet. Call Drains by James, Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining. You may not need them today, but when you do, think of Drains by James. Drains by James. We give a poop about your pipes. Drains by James.
Hi, this is Mark Bertrand from the Zolak and Bertrand Show for VA New England. I have a proud family history of military service, including my father, who served in the U.S. Army. VA New England Healthcare is the highest rated and largest healthcare system in New England. If you or a family member served honorably on active duty for 2 years or deployed or retired from the reserves in any branch, you may be eligible for benefits from VA New England. To get started, call 800-MY-VA-411 or go to va.gov and explore your veteran benefits.
Close to 20 million Americans struggle with alcoholism. Our neighbors in Massachusetts and New Hampshire are no exception. If you or a loved one is struggling with alcoholism, Aware Recovery Care, a uniquely effective, pandemic-safe, Yale-inspired, in-home addiction treatment program, is now serving Massachusetts and New Hampshire. If you or someone you love is struggling with alcoholism right now, call Aware Recovery Care at 844-AWARE-RC. Or visit awarerecoverycare.com.
Gear up at Monkey Sports Superstore, your go-to destination for the best hockey, baseball, and lacrosse equipment. Mention the Sports Hub to unlock your exclusive 20% discount in-store. Visit them in Norwood for the ultimate sports experience. Monkey Sports, where athletes shop.
Commercial property owners want to increase your value, add a revenue stream, and attract new customers with minimal out-of-pocket investment? Have Boston EVC install an electric vehicle charging station at your property. Rebates and incentives cover up to 90% of the cost. Get started now at bostonevc.com.
Hey team, it's Felger here, calling all MVPs of Main Street. Yes, I'm talking about you, champion small business owners. Just like in sports, owning a small business has its ups and downs, but it's all about understanding what's needed to win and having the best team by your side. That's where Cambridge Savings Bank comes into play. With CSB, they're not just sitting in the stands rooting you on, they're in the game with you as part of your team. Visit CambridgeSavings.com to learn how you can team up to extend your business's winning streak. Member FDIC.
If it's big and it's heavy and it's gotta go, who do you call? Removal Pro, yeah.
When your home or business needs an oil tank of any size removed or installed, go with the Removal Pro. They will also remove any size boiler, furnace, or water heater, and even excavate and replace propane tanks. Visit oilremovalpro.com. That's oilremovalpro.com.
Who do you call? Removal Pro, yeah!
Felger and Maz are just his pregame.
They've been getting wholesale deals for years.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hall.
As our tag team comparison is Strike Force. You're the transitional champions for a few days. I feel like Strike Force got a good 6 months in there.
Yes.
Before Demolition beat them with Mr. Fuji's cane at WrestleMania 4.
It just seemed like longer because back then you only saw them once a week.
Exactly. Saturday night's main event was a big deal. We'll get into some wrestling talk later. I won't profess to be totally up on everything here.
We have an event tomorrow. Money in the Bank's tomorrow. I had no idea.
Money in the Bank is... Wow.
I just realized that.
That came on quick.
Yep.
But we had some stuff go viral. I feel like last week WWE had a big viral moment with Paul Heyman going through the table. We got another SmackDown tonight, right? So we'll keep our eyes peeled on what's going over there. You know me. I can... particularly old school wrestling talk, but any school of wrestling talk is all right with me. Like we said, we got Sox Yankees scoreless in the Bronx tonight with Tanner Houck on the mound. And as you can imagine, the fantasy team in my league that owns Tanner Houck has changed the name last week. Great job. And, we're starting C's We'll do Bruins probably next hour. And I really want to get into the signings. We've got double Lindholms now on the Bees. I wonder if we're going to have an initial out in front. I forget what they do in hockey. Do they have an initial in front of the name, or do they just go straight last name? Will they both read Lindholm?
No. There will definitely be
There'll be an E. Lindholm
yes.
and an H. Lindholm.
Yes.
I forget when. What was it? I'm trying to think. When's the last time the Bruins had two guys with it? I remember Don Sweeney and Tim Sweeney, and Bob Sweeney. You had lots of Sweeneys running through here. It was like Sweeney Central.
With the Niedermeyer brothers in Anaheim.
I'd like to see both Sebastian Ahos on the same team.
No, that would be a trip.
Right? What do you do there? S. Aho Elder.
You would think
younger.
One would have the S and one wouldn't, I guess.
Maybe. Something like that. But that's the kind of night it is over here. And Jeff's got a good old playlist fired up for me, so I, in turn, am also fired up. The second chip is important for the Celtics. Jeff, if you're thinking about this window that the Celtics have opened for themselves, we managed the last time that the Celtics had a window with that old big three, right? We managed to convince ourselves, I think, overall as a fan base that, one title was pretty good. We enjoyed 2008. We knew what they were signing up for there. Those guys were pretty old. They tried, but Kevin Garnett got an injury, and they were just never the same team. And I think people coaxed themselves into saying that 2010 wasn't as bad as it was. That was bad.
No, it was pretty bad.
That blunder there was bad. But
that was one of those slow, like that Game 7 was one of those just slow, like, oh no, I've seen this movie before and I know the ending.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
They did it all year.
Yeah. They had said all year, we're going to turn it on when we get to the playoffs. And then, it turned the switch, the gas was low, as OAR once screamed in a song many years ago. But 2010, was bad, but you got to chip out of that. I feel like with this, it's different. It's a different league, but you've got two young stars in their primes, and you've got really the right mix. Like in this free agent period is the exact example of where you're at. The last 2 years, Brad Stevens was tinkering. He was trying to find the exact recipe. And you thought with, say, Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari would have been helpful too, right? You thought maybe that was the recipe. Wasn't the recipe. Okay, now we're going to try Porzingis. We're going to get rid of Smart. We're going to bring in Drew Holiday, guy with winning experience. Okay, that was the recipe. Now we double down on that recipe. And I think you need more than one chip. I really think you do. Again, as a Celtics fan, I've seen 2 titles now since '86. That's basically my entire fandom, with 2 titles. It hasn't been an elite winning culture, although the team has been at the top, near the top of the NBA over the past decade, and had a good run there from 2007 to, say, 2012, 2013, if you want to count that non-Ray Allen year. So they've been in people's consciousness for, say, 15 years. But have they been truly the elite of the NBA? No. Now is their opportunity to do so. And I think the second chip really means everything in the NBA. There are 8 dynasties. You might say 9, I guess. 9 dynasties in NBA history. No, it's 8. The George Mikan Lakers of the 50s in Minneapolis. The Bill Russell Celtics. The Showtime Lakers of the 80s, the Big Three, Larry Bird Celtics of the 80s, the Jordan Bulls, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, the Duncan Spurs, the Curry Warriors. That's 8 if I'm counting right. Those are the 8 times that a team went on a run where they got 3 or more titles. If you're sniffing that as these Celtics, holy crap. That's amazing. But the second tier, a second chip gets you past, say, being compared to, I don't know, And particularly think about how thin it is, right? Everyone's trying to portray it as, well, they beat the Mavericks, a 5th seed in the finals. And they only had to play Indiana in the conference finals. And all these guys were injured and, whatever. But you think about the one-off teams, right? Like the 2019 Raptors. It was like Kawhi's here. He's going to be here for a year. Then he's gone. And that was it. They were still pretty good after that. But then they just eventually faded into oblivion. Or the Mavs with Dirk that one year in 2011 when Jason Kidd came in. Dirk finally got his ring. After that, kind of faded away. They tried it with Rondo there. They tried a bunch of different things. The Chandler Parsons signing didn't help. But the Dirk Mavs, a one-off. The 83 Sixers, maybe one of the great all-time teams with Moses Malone, Dr. J, Andrew Toney, Maurice Cheeks, Bobby Jones. One chip. The Celtics were too strong for the Sixers to be able to come back to that stage. The 04 Pistons, maybe the ultimate one-off there. Yeah, I know they were in the finals against the Spurs a little after that. They beat the Lakers. Nobody thought they could beat the Lakers, but it was a one-off. And everybody kind of compares it because that was the ultimate Big Five team. The Lakers were trying to build. They were Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton.
We were having a discussion the other night about when Karl Malone was a Laker, just like sports athletes that were in a different jersey that just didn't look good.
I heard that, and I saw the tweets of Patrick Ewing in the Magic jersey, Patrick Ewing in the Sonics jersey.
I remember him in the Magic, on the Magic. I do not remember him on the Supersonics at all.
That was the first stop, I think, was the Supersonics, and then it was the Magic. Yeah, it happened. There's a bunch of that, but the 04 Pistons, they really showed that the old sign the name veteran thing, try and get him a ring, certainly does not work. And then like the Bill Walton Blazers, great team, but Bill Walton messed up his legs and back and who knows what else he messed up. Bunch of fusions. So great one-off teams. I don't think anybody really, in those Sixers teams in the 80s, they had lost to the Lakers in the finals a couple times. They'd beaten the Celtics in the ECF. Remember, beat LA. But you have great teams like that nobody considers dynasty level. Because they get one ring, and it's like, okay, there you are in the history book. You'll always have that ring. The 2008 Celtics will always have that ring. But it's just a dent in the history book. You need ring number 2. And even then, you're not a dynasty, but that's when the reverence starts. And that's, I think, what you're going for here when you're playing the long game, when you're punching the ticket, when you're taking the ride from Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's rookie year, when you go on a 6, 7, 8-year journey like the Celtics just did to get to that point, you don't stop there. You build the story. You continue. Cody Rhodes finishing the story at WrestleMania is not the only part that matters. What happens after matters too. You'll always remember that one particular WrestleMania, but when you're looking at the story in full, the career, and I hate the term, but the legacy, and that's why all these people in New York or people who have parents who grew up in New York won't shut their yaps about the 1970s Knicks 50 years after it happened because they won 2 titles. The bad boy Pistons in the late 80s, that in 04 is the only thing that fan base can stake anything to right there. But they went back to back. They beat the Lakers, for God's sake. Who cares that they beat the Drexler Blazers and the other one, a team that was very good. But the bad boy Pistons, not a dynasty, but an all-time team that you talk about. LeBron's Heat teams, they were in the finals 4 times. They won it back-to-back in 12 and 13. Not a dynasty, not 4, not 5, not 6, but they got 2, and people will never forget the hold that they had on the NBA for a couple of years. Even the Olajuwon Rockets. If Jordan had retired and the Rockets won just 1 at that point, just in 94, Or say they had to get Clyde Drexler to win in 95. Say the Knicks won in 94. Never would have happened. But say they did. If you split 94 and 95 and one team gets a title one year and a different team gets a title the other year, Hakeem Olajuwon's not as highly regarded. Rudy Tomjanovich is not as highly regarded as a coach. But again, not a dynasty, but held with reverence because when Jordan retired, they held up the NBA. The Celtics here, by getting another, they put themselves in that second tier. As a top, 15 team of all time in this little run. And that's what they set themselves up to do. 617-779-0985. I'm on Twitter at the Silver Fox, Silver with a Y. That's what we're looking for here. We're looking for the reverence. We're looking for the respect. Because we all know that there's one thing that Boston hates, and that's being disrespected. And we all know that the national pundits all picked the Mavs, or at least more than half of them did. And we all know that the Celtics won, and immediately the playbook came out. Oh, I can see there might be some dissension here. Everybody wants to tear it apart, but you can't fight the fact that the Celtics are on top right now, and they've set themselves up to continue. Other teams will pretzel themselves to get there. We'll see if there's any great shakes ahead for, say, the 76ers. We'll talk about that next. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Headlines coming at you.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Red Sox starting up a 3-game set against the Yankees in the Bronx. Tanner Houck, Nestor Cortez, that irritating Nestor Cortez. Your pitching matchup. And so far, this is a scoreless game. Bottom of the third inning, Yankees getting their at-bats. Just a single hit so far in this contest. So the pitching matchup that everyone dreamed it to be. And hopefully Tanner Houck can rebound after that really tough outing last time. Taking a look at soccer. The Euros progressing today. We got Copa America coming up. We got Venezuela, Canada. That's a quarterfinal matchup at 9 o'clock. Also, the Revs, they'll be taking on the Seattle Sounders out on the West Coast. Due to the fact that it's on the West Coast, that'll be at 10:30 tomorrow night. At Wimbledon, highest-seeded American, Coco Gauff, moves on today. She's the 2 seed. And what else? We got a bunch of other stuff coming on tonight. We'll take a look at WNBA maybe for the next update. There's a lot going on tonight. It's a sneaky good sports night. Sports Up Headlines brought to you by the Cape Club of Falmouth, consistently ranked as the best public golf course and driving range on Cape Cod and the Islands. For tee times or dining reservations, visit CapeClubResort.com. I'm Sean Sylver, Boston Over Sports, 98.5 The Sports Up. Next update, 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening.
came down at Yankee Stadium. Quick delay, unexpected shower. I got to get the TVs right in this room. One of them is on. There was like a lengthy Jessica Simpson profile that was going on.
She trying to get back into the spotlight?
She may have new music. I saw at one point like new music flash across the screen with her face. There were like all these retro clips of Jessica Simpson from back when she was America's sweetheart there.
Absolute smoke show.
Yep. I'm just grooving along to the music. Sean Sylver here. That's the voice of Jeff Williams that you hear as well. We're here till 11 o'clock. Starting Celtics. Next hour, we'll go Bruins. Matt Dolloff, our very own, from the .com and from the Sports Hub Underground, which there was I forget what media poll this was, media survey. Was it a Boston sports media survey? Excuse me if I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like, what's your favorite podcast? Sports Hub Underground was represented in that vote highly. I think the Sports Hub Underground has an underground legion of fans as well. I refuse to say that was Dolloff or Ty stuffing the ballot box, as, say, Cleveland Guardians fans did for Stephen Kwan. I think that there is a deserved following there. And Dolloff's the kind of guy, not only is he sharp on multiple sports, but he makes me laugh every freaking podcast with just a random non sequitur. Like Ty will say a name and Matt will reference like a random movie or something. Just Ty keeps on going. Or they stop and they talk about said movie for 10 minutes. Hey, if that's your kind of thing, Sports Hub Underground is your podcast. We will talk to Matt at 8:20. 9:20, Mike Zakarian, the definitive NBA comedian, local guy. He's New York-based now, but you see videos from this guy. He does the NBA bit on playback, which I tune into occasionally under an assumed name. But that's an every morning sort of deal during the season. You've seen videos from him at the All-Star break. Mike is all over covering the NBA in his own kind of spin. And that's what we're going for tonight. I don't think we're going for hard analysis. I think we're just keeping it light here. It's the Friday after the 4th of July. Oh, you know what it is now? We got the Crocodile Hunters family is on. This is the TM. Who puts on TMZ in here? Or is it just on a station that we're watching for something else and then it flips over? Fox 25?
Yes, Fox, yes.
Okay. I don't mean to discredit Fox 25. Just the TMZ show on in this station it's a bit much. What are these people talking about? Why does it matter? Why are we all here? How did I get here? Letting the days go by. Let the water hold me down. Tom Haberstroh wrote on Yahoo Sports Ball Don't Lie, which is a great little resource. I get the notification email in my inbox every morning. He wrote earlier this week that the Big Three era is dead. The last two teams to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy, the 2023 Nuggets and the 23-24 Boston Celtics, were built upon the belief that the Big Three era is dead. Welcome to the era of the Big Five. And then he talks about us. While sports talk shows spent countless hours debating whether the Celtics' Big Two of Tatum and Brown stacked up against the rest of the league's star duos, Brad Stevens and the Celtics front office were busy building a Big Five. And they brought that Big Five back, guys. That's why I'm looking at all of these moves around the league right now. Paul George to Philly. Paul George is a great player and probably a Hall of Fame caliber player in this league. He was exciting like a decade ago. What has Paul George been doing other than just living off the Paul George name? Making appearances on ESPN during the finals broadcast in the analyst booth. What's he been up to? He's just been chilling in Los Angeles. But the Sixers got the name of NBA free agency, Paul George. And now they can say, guess what? We've got Joel Embiid, We got Paul George. We got Tyrese Maxey, who's great. But 2/3 of that tricycle can't stay on the floor. 2/3 of that tricycle, at times, has disappeared in key moments in the playoffs. Not saying that the Celtics have been immune to that in the past either. But they got a chip. The Sixers have never made it out of the second round. Maybe next year's the year. We'll see. Milwaukee Bucks, what have they been up to? Not much. The Knicks are so in love with themselves right now. Mikal Bridges, a good player, very good player, is a Knick. He's going to propel them to, you know what, though? The Knicks have their big five. The Knicks truly do have their big five. They have Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, who they paid $212 million. Would you rather have OG Anunoby at $212 or Derek White at $125? I'll go with Derek White, thank you. Who's their fifth? Josh Hart? Is Mitchell Robinson still? Does he count? I mean, the Knicks are so in love with themselves right now. They had a good regular season, and if they weren't hurt in the playoffs, how many times, Knicks fans, do we have to watch you just fall in love with yourselves? That ain't happening. I'm sorry. Ain't happening. Ain't happening for the Knicks. The Cavs re-signed Donovan Mitchell. Great. Mediocrity. Donovan Mitchell, who the Cavs seem to play better with him off the floor. Because he plays like he's 35 years old, just chugging the ball up the court every time, taking fall-away jumpers and initiating all the offense himself while the rest of his team just stands around and watches. That's what you've signed yourself up for a long-term big money deal, Cleveland. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't mean to be braggadocious, but for once, as a Celtics fan, not only nationally but regionally, I get to be braggadocious. There's a time where I wasn't allowed to open my mouth about the Celtics because they didn't have it. They didn't have the hardware. They got it now. And you know what? They're not messing around. And sure, the team might be up for sale. There's a pivot point coming down the road. But they are well positioned right now, and I'm not worried. These teams can do anything. The Nuggets just lost a starter in KCP. The Lakers, they brought in Bronny. People are saying Oklahoma City, and I'll ask Zakarian about this. People are saying OKC, by bringing in Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, has transformed their team. Maybe that's their big five with Shea and Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. I don't know. But the Celtics, with health, are there. The bad thing is when you go all in on a roster, like the Celtics did after 2008, sure, James Posey left, but you figured, okay, Tony Allen can pick up some of that slack. Big Baby is here. He can play some minutes for us, and Rajon Rondo can take an expanded role. And in 2009, you might say they were better. Kevin Garnett rips his knee up. The one caution maybe is, and they won this without Porzingis largely this year. He's not as pivotal a player to these Celtics as Kevin Garnett, say, was to those Celtics, right? But Kristaps Porzingis, maybe, I don't know, would you say he's akin to like 2011 Shaq? Where it was like, okay, we're going to have him back, say he doesn't come back, and then you're screwed. The difference is that Celtics team hadn't prepared the center position. You had Jermaine O'Neal there. Was Greg Steemsma there at that time? He may have been. These Celtics have guys who can hold down the fort for a little bit while Porzingis is out. And if Xavier Tillman's as good as I think he is, with Al Horford, that twosome's pretty good too. Throw the Condor in there. It's not perfect at the big man position, but you might not need it to be. Because of all the talent that you have, that you've invested in, it's a good time to go all in this bunch. 617-779-09. Hey, whoa, wait a minute. We got a call. Why don't I get to this right before we get to the break here? Can you pull it up, Jeff? I'm getting my call screener up. Pat and Franklin, how are you?
John.
What's up?
Let me tell you something right now.
Yeah.
You're underestimating the Knicks. Listen, I'm not even a Knicks fan.
Okay.
Let me break this down with you.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay. You know Brunson's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah.
You know they overpaid for OG, correct?
Calling him OG.
Who cares if they overpaid for OG?
You sound like you might be a Knicks fan. You're calling him OG.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
This is the reason. I'm a Celtics fan.
Okay.
And here's where I'm worried.
Okay.
They're cohesive. They're a cohesive unit.
The Knicks?
Okay.
Or
yes.
The Celtics? Okay.
The Knicks. And listen, I think the Celtics, talent-wise, just paper on paper, better.
Sure.
However, you got to have the team situation going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they paid extra to get Bridges, right?
Okay.
So here's my thoughts. If the Celtics don't stay cohesive and don't stay on the ball,
mm-hmm.
I think the Knicks are right there with them. It's close.
I would agree. I would agree with you. I'll throw it back at you, Pat.
Yeah.
What gives us any indication that the Celtics are going to take their mind off of the prize here? We've already shown that they've already shown they can do it.
Well, I'll say this. Derek White is one of those dudes that he's not going to take his eye off the ball, but
right.
You never know about the two Jays. They just got their title, right? Mm-hmm. They just gotta kind of skim around and just enjoy it because they've never won anything. That's the interesting part about this whole deal, right? Until 2 weeks ago, those guys never won anything.
Okay.
Right? And now they did it.
Okay.
So now,
all right, Pat. I'm just gonna stop you right there, and I appreciate the engagement. I appreciate your opinion, but we are up against the hour here. I wanted to fit you in. To the point that the Jays hadn't won anything. I mean, who has really won anything at their age in this league? Because these guys aren't going to college for a lot of years anymore. So your top flight players, guys who are drafted high in the draft, aren't seasoned national champions. That just doesn't happen. You don't have national champion players anymore, with very few exceptions, who are drafted high and who become superstars in the NBA. It's highly limited. If anything, the guys, if you're saying that the Knicks are cohesive because they all played back in the day at Villanova and won a championship, I mean, that's an interesting perspective. There's value to winning at the highest level. But not only have the Knicks done that, I guess, in college, or some of the Knicks have done that in college, but the Celtics have done it actually in the NBA. And I'm not going to take Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum taking their eye off the ball as a thing right now. I'm just not. I appreciate that the Knicks are good, but I don't think they're any more cohesive than the Celtics because they played at Villanova 8 years ago and won a title. Bridges got to fit in with this team. Julius Randle was not a part of that team back at Villanova. And he, going into this year, was their highest profile player. So Julius Randle has got to find a way to buy into the team concept. That was what this was all about with the Celtics this year, buying into the sacrifice and the team concept. Will Julius Randle buy in on that? I'd like to see it because if he does, that makes for more entertaining basketball, and you've got a great opponent to go against the Celtics. I would love Celtics-Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Viva hate! I love it when I can be salty about a series. I couldn't do that too much. Jimmy Butler wasn't there for the Heat. So, that series didn't really last, even though I hate the Heat. I hate Pat Riley. I'm not, Cleveland, I guess I developed a little bit of a distaste for Donovan Mitchell, but he doesn't really bother me all that much. The Pacers, difficult to dislike the Pacers. There's just not, the number one thing I disliked about the Pacers is the fact that Dan Lifshitz is completely in love with Miles Turner still. But the Knicks, they got to show that they can do it, just like the Celtics did this year, and that is the difference. The Celtics have already been there. The Knicks are building on the fly right now. I don't see the Celtics taking their eye off the ball. I just don't. I don't know what kind of data backs that up. I do know that the fact that the Celtics have shown they can do it is a data point, and the Knicks haven't. 617-779-0985. You want to jump on, talk C's, talk B's, talk Sox, talk Savannah Bananas are on right now. It's a night. Sean Sylver, Jeff Williams. We'll take a quick break, hit your headlines. Matt Dolloff coming up a little bit over 20 minutes from now. Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
untimely passing of Eddie Van Halen. Not like Van Halen was, going out and doing a whole bunch of stuff, but just the fact that they existed, kind of made you feel warm and fuzzy. And now, the potentially many estimations the greatest guitarist of all time no longer here. So Joe Satriani seems game for the challenge. I'm very excited to go out and see that show. I don't have a whole lot of other stuff on tap. I never really got my act together in terms of like looking at schedules and carving out dates. So I don't, it might be a busy fall for me. I don't know. I gotta spend some time. But it seems to me Jeff Williams has got some good shows to look forward to. If you could give me, say, a top three that you're and I know some of these you're going to multiple nights. So top three acts that you're looking forward to seeing this summer.
Creed is number one.
Creed number one.
Definitely number one.
The resurgence of Creed.
I've seen the Smashing Pumpkins before, but I'm excited to see them again. They're going to be opening for Green Day when I see them at Fenway.
Nice.
And boy, this is tough because I'm seeing Metallica. I'm also seeing Incubus, which I haven't seen, and I haven't seen Incubus and I haven't seen Metallica in about the same time, about 20 years.
I didn't know Incubus was still out there.
Yes, they're going to be playing "Make Yourself" in its entirety.
So the 2001 album, right? That was what the hell?
You looking for singles?
Yeah.
Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, I wish you were here. That was
Warning.
Stuff that was playing in post 9/11 America on MTV and VH1. Because I think that's right around when that album came out.
Either before, maybe a little.
Maybe
before.
the summer of 01?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of seem to, you kind of get your head space, a certain point in your life where certain things happen, and it's just like, what were the videos that were in rotation at that time? And I just remember Incubus being very, very popular. They still making new music?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, good for them. Some staying power. And again, the resurgence of Creed. Very, very impressive.
Limp Bizkit as well.
Limp Bizkit. I
That
think
should
we
be a
can.
fun show.
We can.
You know who's opening for them?
What's that?
Corey Feldman.
Really?
Yes.
I've seen a couple of YouTubes, some clips of Corey Feldman performing. I don't really know what to think about it. He's going out there. He's giving it a go.
Supposedly he's been making music for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Now.
And the Savannah Bananas had the pitcher on stilts out there a minute ago. That should be a very interesting little sampler of tunes for you. Joe Murray was saying the other day that he just can't listen to Limp Bizkit. And, I'm not going to besmirch Joe's opinions on music because I think Joe is very informed. He knows his stuff, particularly 90s, grunge era and on, right? But we were all there. We all existed in that time, and there were some bangers. And you know what? If someone put out a banger, you got to give them their just due. 20 years later, that's still a banger. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. It might even become more of a banger with perspective. So, here we are. Creed, Limp Bizkit, the kind of bands we didn't expect, but they are back in the public consciousness in 2024. And hey, credit to them for having their stuff together. Get out there, cash a paycheck, and hopefully give you a very good show, Jeff. I hope that you do not leave any of these performances disappointed.
I hope so too.
Well, yeah. I mean, because tickets are not cheap.
I mean, these
days.
weren't super expensive. Metallica, that was a pretty penny.
Okay.
If I eventually go see Pearl Jam, those prices are ridiculous at this point. It's about $400 just to get in.
Do they do not use Ticketmaster, correct?
No, they do.
They do?
They gave up that.
Pearl Jam gave up?
Yeah.
Doesn't anyone stand for anything? Before we go to Bruins, let's get to Eric in Boston on Celtics Knicks. Eric.
Hey, how's your guys' night?
I think we're doing pretty good so far. How are you?
I'm all right. I just wanted to call. I heard the last call. It kind of fired me up a little bit.
Okay.
Talking about the cohesive unit for the Knicks. I think the Celtics are pretty cohesive. I think losing in the finals, especially last year and being expected to win, I think having that pain kind of drew them to their success this year. I think the Knicks have been kind of playing over their head to an extent. They remind me somewhat of the Celtics' Isaiah Thomas, and this year they didn't really have any expectations, but they kind of exceeded. I do think if the Celtics and Knicks matched up in the playoffs, the same way we kind of hunted Doncic would be the same way I would imagine they would hunt Brunson, and Drew Holiday is somewhere to be around that dunker spot trying to post him. I just think the Celtics are going to come out with their head. They'll be prepared next year because I think the media unintentionally did us a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum didn't win the ECF MVP or the championship MVP. I just think there's enough for Tatum to play well.
All right. I like the analysis, Eric. I like the analysis. Why wouldn't Jason Tatum want to go out there and maybe get his MVP trophy? I think what we're learning here is that who remembers finals MVP awards? And I had this conversation with Mark Dendero a while ago, probably Memorial Day weekend, because Mark was saying at the time, I think Tatum needs to be the finals MVP. Turns out he didn't need to be, not against these Mavericks, where, as you said, Celtics found a player to hunt and took advantage of him. Right, Eric? That was part of your point with Brunson. Jason Tatum didn't need to be the finals MVP, and I kind of made the comp at the time that, hey, look, Tim Duncan wasn't the finals MVP every time the Spurs won the title. He was 3 times, all right? But there was that run in 2007, right, with Tony Parker was the MVP, and then Kawhi got the last one for them. I don't think anybody remembers how many finals MVPs that Tim Duncan has. I think everybody knows how many championships that he has. And for the Celtics, as long as they can keep that perspective, they're golden. And that's a challenge, right? That's a challenge. Jaylen Brown running around with a State Your Source t-shirt, right? Because there's a comment about his marketability. There's a comment about, whether Jaylen Brown's a bankable player. And bankability means something. But ultimately, when you're talking about your career, it's how many championships did you win? Hall of Fame, All-Star games, great. These guys are going to get them. It's the championships you win. That's the currency that we deal in these days. And I think the Knicks, good little team, but they're really a bunch of dudes. And the Celtics are proving that there's strength in their stars. And that's only going to, I think that's going to build for them. We're going to talk Bruins coming up. Matt Dolloff, 985thesportshub.com, and the Sports Hub Underground will be joining us. So here's part of the deal with that. The Bruins made 2 big moves. And, hey, I applaud them for their aggressiveness. But I think they're lacking. And Ty and Matt on their podcast outlined what they needed to do. And they need a wing. They really need a wing. I just feel like they took the Panthers to 6 games. And they splashed some cash, and that's great. But again, they're good. But I don't think they're there. And I have this worry that the Bruins are kind of turning into the Bruins team of my youth, where it was, okay, you make the finals in 88 and 90, and then it's like you never really find the guys to replace those guys. And Ray Bourque just hangs around for a million years. They're not getting any better. Cam Neely gets injured a lot. They don't get any better. We've already seen it with Chara had to retire. Bergeron's gone. Krejci's gone. Brad Marchand continues to just roll along. And the Bruins they exist, but who's truly going to be the X factor that puts them over? Is it going to be Lindholm? Is it going to be one of these young guys? Talk to Matt about the Bruins situation coming up here on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
98.5 The Sports. I feel it was very unfortunate that the Verve and the Verve Pipe were both active at the same time. You know, one of those bands should have been huge, and instead they were both just kind of blew up. Man, that Urban Hymns, it's a freaking album right there. This, of course, Verve Pipe. I, of course, should you not recognize Sean Sylver. Jeff Williams playing the hits. We're here till 11. In for Joe Murray. In for Skaz. Giving those guys a break because they damn well know they deserve one. They're keeping this thing hot every night. I know. I listen in, whether I'm doing some painting in the garage on a weeknight evening, heading out to get some ice cream with the kids. So we'll try and keep it. We'll try and keep it just as hot here, going till 11 o'clock. I'm on Twitter at the Silver Fox, Silver with a Y. We're on YouTube. Check out 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Some of you listening in and commenting, appreciate that. Appreciate the, apparently we were likened to the Rockers taking on tag teams, right? The Rockers.
Who's the Jannetty?
I mean, my name is Sean. I'd be okay being Marty Jannetty.
I'll be okay being Jannetty, too.
Originally, the Rockers were Jannetty's team. Jannetty would get the hot tag. All right? But things change over time. It's okay. The fact that we're both okay being Jannetty means that this is a good pairing. It's like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum was okay being Jannetty. Oh, man. So we're trying to peel the cover off this Bruins offseason just a little bit. And I got to say, I'm pleased, but I'm not even close to over the moon because all we've heard is, well, they can't spend this offseason, meaning last offseason, but they're going to spend their money this summer. Well, guess what? Everybody has money to spend this summer. The Bruins have spent some. They brought in some names. That's great. I just don't really feel like this team is all that much better. I want to get the assessment of someone who follows this team carefully. And not only that, not only is he plugged in on the Bees, but he's also a pretty good dude. Matt Dolloff, 98.5 The Sports Hub and the Sports Hub Underground. Matt, happy 4th of July weekend, my friend. We got him? There he is.
What? Oh, am I on now?
Yes. Hi, am I on?
What's up? Hi. Sorry. Yeah. Fun fact, real quick.
Yes.
That song you played, Coming Back In, Freshman.
The Freshman.
I've been playing guitar since I was about 8 years old. That was the first song I ever learned on guitar.
Really?
I was probably 11 years old.
Okay.
The people were impressed with it. That was my wheelhouse, the late 90s, learning all the, Matchbox 20, Third Eye Blind, that stuff.
Oh, that
was good. That brought back some memories.
So you still play, Matt?
Yeah, I play from time to time. I have friends that also play like drums, and we get together and play a little bit. But my days of being in a band are far gone at this point.
I appreciate that. Just the fact that you still get together and jam and do that sort of stuff. My guitar is collecting dust. I at one point was trying to compile a library of late 90s tunes, that would hopefully maybe. If you've seen the Barbie movie where Ken plays, I'm not assuming that you have seen the Barbie movie, Matt, but Joe Murray.
I never saw Barbie. Truth be told, I saw Oppenheimer 3 times.
Okay, Joe Murray.
Never saw Barbie.
Joe Murray sent me the clip where Ken is playing Matchbox 20 for Barbie on his guitar, and I laughed when I saw it because it's Joe and I love singing Matchbox 20 together when we're on the air, but. I have probably been in that position where I've, attempted to charm a woman with my strumming and slightly above average to mediocre singing. And that thing's been collecting dust for years. There's nothing left. No meat on the bone there. But I want to start out with something. I saw you defending ketchup on hot dogs on social media recently.
Yes.
And I want to join you on that wall if you need some company. Jeff Williams pumping his fist behind the glass. Matt, it just bothers me that people would take the time to condiment shame.
Oh yeah, no, I don't understand the responses that are just so reflexive and dismissive. Like, oh no, if you like ketchup, you're a child. Like, ketchup on a hot dog is for 10-year-olds. And so I felt the need to call out one person, plus one poor guy. I mean, one guy out of 100 people. But I'm like, give me some specific reasons why. Why is it childish to put ketchup on a hot dog or to like ketchup? And he's like, well, it's sugar sauce. That's what a lot of people say. It's like, what? So people over 10 years old are not allowed to have sugar. Is this the argument we're making here? But yeah, no, I always put ketchup on my hot dogs, and it's not like ketchup or go F yourself. I'll put ketchup, mustard, relish. I'll have a chili dog. I'll put sliced onions if I'm going crazy.
How about some kraut?
But kraut, I don't think I've ever tried that.
Sauerkraut on there?
I've never tried the sauerkraut.
Okay.
I'm willing to try it, though.
I'm
sick of the ketchup shit. I don't even know where it came from.
Yeah.
But I don't think people have a real argument. I think they just throw out there, you're a child, and that's really all they got. You press a person to expound upon that, and they're just like, I don't know, I don't like it. And so
they can't back it
go
up.
F yourself.
It's a flimsy argument.
Yeah.
The first time I ever got heat for that was I was at a Cubs game in Chicago and was just at the condiment stand, and somebody made a comment. I was like, okay, Chicago, butcher to the world. If you've read your Carl Sandburg, you may have a really high opinion of yourself for your meat products, but don't, as my kid says, don't yuck my yum. Okay, this is what I want right now. You move along.
Right, it's not like you're holding the guy down and shoving a bottle of ketchup down his throat.
No, not
people like what they like. Who cares?
Exactly. And on a weekend that celebrates freedom, what better than your freedom to choose the red bottle of sugar sauce? All right, let's get to the real hard stuff here, Matt. And I'm a Sports Hub Underground listener, proponent.
Yep.
You and Ty kind of nailed down these are the priorities for the Bruins over the offseason, several weeks ago. And, I caught your most recent podcast, which was epic in length. And it seemed like, they've addressed some of these priorities. Can you give them a grade so far?
Well, I mean, for the whole offseason, because if you want to count the Ullmark trade, that might change the grade.
Sure.
It's about a B- to maybe a B offseason so far. You can't give them an A. I don't think they went that far. I don't think they improved the team that drastically to say like they're the big winner of the offseason. I think the moves they made were out of necessity. I think this was the result of, especially at the center position, sort of just a history of bad drafting and a lack of draft, just literally not drafting enough centers. And the ones they did draft, Trent Frederick, Johnny Pitcher, those are bottom six guys. They're not really going to pan out as top six guys or star players by any means. And so you ran Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci into the ground. And so you pretty much had to go out and get Elias Lindholm, who I do think was a perfect fit for them. And it's like the exact kind of center that they love to have. But I think on like a great team, a top cup contender, he's a high-end number 2 center. I think on the Bruins, he's immediately the number 1 center, but that's just a reflection of the roster and the depth chart. So I think that was out of necessity. I don't think it was a big overpay for Lindholm. I don't think $7.75 million is a ton of money for him. Not this year. I don't think it's really going to age poorly. I think there's already guys around the league making $8-9 million that are already overpaid, and so I think the cap's going to keep going up. And so I don't think that's going to be a bad contract in the long run. And look, they did improve as a team. I think Nikita Zadorov is a legitimate improvement for the left side of the defense compared to, say, Mac Brislick or Parker Waterspoon, whoever they were playing at the bottom of the left side of the defense depth.
Uh-oh. Is Matt Dolloff in an area where hey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You just cut out. I didn't know if there was something weird going on out there. If we were going back to Area 98.5 here, there was some sort of alien activity. But you're back.
No, I'm in the movie Fire in the Sky right now. I'm getting beamed up.
You're back.
No, I'm like Joe Murray. I'm just sitting here.
Well, that's good to know. Well, I get your point, and you made this on the website. Kind of went back over the I guess, lack of attention to detail at the center position. I mean, let's be real, and you stated this, like, if they'd held on to Sagan, maybe he's not exactly the perfect fit for them, but he would have been, holding that position down for the better part of a decade for them, right? And that was really where they blew it. And now you're at the point where you're paying Lindholm 7.75, you're paying Coyle 5.25, right? So that's a combined $13 million on your top two centers. So we understand in free agency that you're going to be expected to pay, but if there'd been any drafting at that point, to your point, over the last several years, you'd actually be able to carve out a bargain at that position and go somewhere else. Like, for instance, get a wing, which, again, you guys identified as, okay, that's something that we need to do. Jake DeBrusk is gone. Not that a whole lot of people are going to miss him a ton, but there's some scoring punch that is lost with the departure, and it's kind of like, well, maybe we're going to one of the young guys. It just kind of seems like another offseason where it's like, and I get it, you have to play your young guys to see if you've got anything there, but it's another offseason where it's like, well, gee, maybe one of these guys will step up. And I feel like true cup contending teams, not B-level teams, but A-level teams, don't generally have those questions heading into the season.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I think the wing part is the most frustrating part of the offseason so far. And I think this is where Ty and I sort of see eye to eye is that, if not re-signing DeBrusk, we would have liked to see them replace DeBrusk with a free agent and make an upgrade there. I think maybe the whole Jeremy Swayman situation has sort of complicated things because I think a year ago we were looking at all this cap space that we're going to have. We probably didn't see that playoff run coming from Jeremy Swayman, so that's taking up a lot more of the cap than expected. But at the same time, bringing on Jonas Korpisalo adds $3 million to the cap that I didn't think was really necessary, considering that they have goalies in the pipeline and they have goalie Bob, and I think goalie Bob can coach up pretty much anybody. So I don't understand the overinvestment in the backup goaltender spot there, and I think that sort of hampered them from signing another free agent, one of the free agent wings that was out there. And so I think that's where they sort of fell short. And, that's Don Sweeney has said. Now he's saying, like, the young kids are going to have a chance to play. But like I said on the podcast, like, I've heard that before, and so I'll see it when I believe it. And Jim Montgomery is going into the season without a new contract. And so is he going to be patient with these guys? Is he going to play them and give them a legitimate chance to produce in a top six role, which is where I think a guy like Fabian Lysell or Georgi Merkulov, who we saw for a cup of coffee last season, is their best fit. I don't think they're not going to be bottom six guys. If they pan out, they're going to be top 6-4s. They're going to be scorers. And so I think the right side there in the top six, particularly next to Charlie Coyle across from Brad Marchand, that's the spot. That's the spot that's going to be key for them to see how much production they can get out of it. And I think one of those young guys is going to be their best shot at it. And look, if they start the season, they give them a fair shot, they play 20, 25 games, and the production's just not there, or they're not putting in the work or what have you, or they can't stay healthy. Like, I get it, but you got to give them a shot. Like, they got to figure that part out. Like, if we go into the season and it's Trent Frederick up on that second line or Morgan Geekie, like, that's going to be frustrating. And so I know that part of that falls on the players, but I think it's been long enough for these guys to develop, especially with a guy like Merkulov, who's 24. Fabian Lysell, I know he's 21 years old. He's still young, but it's a young man's league, and like 21, 22-year-olds should be able to break into the league. Yeah. And the Bruins, I think they are patient, but I think patient to a fault with these guys. And so I really hope that they stick to their word about giving them a legit shot to play, because I don't think anyone else they have in the system is going to have a chance to not just replace the production that they're going to lose from Jake DeBrusk, but give them, you know, a legitimate upgrade in production, because they're going to need it if they want to become a real cup contender and compete with the likes of Florida and even like the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I think we would love it. Bruins fans as a whole would just love it if one or both of these guys hit, because it would be that example of a Don Sweeney draft pick really making a difference. And, you know, like, I just kind of made the comparison before we hit the last break. Like, you know, the last time, or, you know, the last, I guess, era that the Bruins were really good prior to the more recent, you know, Bergeron develops and Lucic develops and Marchand, and, you know, you did Savard and Chara and you were off to the races for 15, 20 years, sure. But the previous era was in the early 90s, and that was notorious for they had a great veteran team and it just slowly fell apart. and they were never able to truly replenish, until they made some trades, and then they got good again. I just feel like, if you're waiting on Don Sweeney's drafting to pick up the slack for you, that you're just going to be riding this team out for the next 4 or 5 years, and Brad Marchand skates off into the sunset, and it's just like, well, hey, thanks for coming out, but we were never able to replace the veteran talent with young guys around you.
Yeah, no, I'd be worried about Brad Marchand. If I'm Brad Marchand, I might be a little worried about getting one last cup before he calls it a career. I think they really went for it in the final year of Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci's careers. I know that Brad Marchand can still play at a pretty high level, even though he's going to be, I think, 37 years old. Part of that is his contract's going to be coming up soon, and maybe he can start taking team-friendly deals. That'll create some cap space, and then maybe they can bring in more talent. But yeah, the drafting is really what you got to lean on. On the bright side, I think the drafting has done better lately. Mason Lowry looks like a hit.
Yeah.
Matthew Poitras came up last year. He was 19 years old. He might not be fully ready to be a full-time NHL player. I wouldn't be surprised if he spent some time in Providence early next year. But he looks like he could be a pretty good center. And they just drafted Dean Letourneau. Who knows where he's going to go? He could go in either direction. He's sort of a boom or bust type of prospect.
Yep.
But that's sort of the guy that you want to gamble on if you want to get a guy with skill, a guy that could be a high-end scoring talent late in the first round, is that you sort of have to gamble on those boom or bust guys, and that's sort of what Letourneau is. And he's not going to really show up in the league until, for another 2 or 3 years probably.
Right.
But I think there's reason for optimism with their recent high draft picks. But, yeah, it's going to be tough to get one more for Brad within the next, 3-4 years, however long he keeps playing. I think Brad Marchand is definitely capable of playing into his 40s. But they're going to have to – his production is going to drop off at some point. They're going to have to replenish that. And so, yeah, it's going to be tough within the next 3 or 4 years, especially once they lock up Jeremy Swayman, I think, for $8 million, and they're going to be leaning on him. And, Mason Lowry is going to need a contract down the road. And Frederick, Frederick's a guy that I don't think they have to pay, but that's a guy that he's stuck around, and he sort of fits well for what they want to do. So they are going to have more decisions to make down the road, and I'm not sure that the Lindholm and the Zadorov signings are going to sort of hamper that. But we're sort of left hoping that they get enough out of those guys that they just signed that they can get by for the next 3-4 years and hope that these draft picks pan out. But yeah, we really got to hope that those draft picks pan out for as far as the next 3, 4, 5 years are concerned.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that happens, and okay, you say we took the Stanley Cup champions to 6 games, all right? Then maybe we're getting a little something from an unexpected place for once. Obviously, Sweeney went ham, and went all in Bergeron's last year, but you really knew where you were getting the production from, when you went out at the trade deadline and got proven commodities and brought them in. If they decide, hey, we need something else, we do need a wing, where's that going to come from? Do you feel that there's some sort of goalie move that needs to happen? Do you like Korpisalo on the outs? Do you feel like they trade from defensive depth or move a young guy? I mean, where can they wiggle to bring in somebody who could bring them some true scoring punch if they decide that's what they need for this year?
No, I don't think it's going to take a hockey trade, so to speak, like trading Korpisalo out there to get someone to take on the salary. Like, I know that's sort of going to hamstring them a little bit. I think that hamstrung them a little bit in free agency.
Yeah.
But even after they signed Swayman, which I do think it's going to happen eventually, I think it's just taking a while, and lines are sort of being drawn, and they just have to come to the middle. But I don't think that's going to blow up or anything. That's going to happen. But even after that gets done, they'll have maybe $3 million to work with. So you get to the trade deadline, like they might have a little bit of room to bring in someone who's not making an absorbent salary, but could sort of help them in terms of scoring, or if they need someone who to fit in the bottom 6, maybe middle 6, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But if they need scoring, like if that might be a bad sign, because that might mean that the aforementioned Lysell or Merkulov isn't really working out for this year. But I think they'll have a little bit of wiggle room at the trade deadline. I think that was sort of what Don Sweeney was alluding to, that I don't expect them to make any more moves in free agency. I think they sort of blew that on the first day, and I think the next major move, if you want to call it a major move, would come at the trade deadline. And I think they're going to try their best to save some room in that department, and they could save some room by bringing guys up and bringing guys down because they can bank money on the cap from day to day. And so I think we're going to have to wait to the trade deadline for them to get any sort of scoring help. The hope is that they don't really need it because they brought up those young kids and they sort of panned out in their first major roles in the NHL. But I think if we're going to be waiting for them to get scoring help, it's going to come at the deadline, and they're probably going to have to trade more draft picks away, which would be a little annoying for me. I'm glad they got back into the first round, but it came at a little bit of a cost. They took a big downgrade at backup goalie. But, yeah, I think we got to wait to the trade deadline, if anything, as far as getting more help.
Well, we'll put the eggs in the basket of the young guys. Until then, cross our fingers, cross our toes, pray for rain, and hopefully things will work out for the Bruins. Aggressive in free agency, but still questions. And, hey, that just gives content for the podcast. That gives content for us here on the air. Matt Dolloff, Sports Hub Underground, of course, the venerable scribe of 98.5thesportshub.com. Enjoy having you on a Friday night. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.
All right. There's Matt. Like I said, you can catch him in a variety of different venues with his opinions on the Bruins, on the Patriots. I'm sure he will be at camp very soon as we hit that part of the year where we look forward to the fall. But right now, we're stuck in the middle of summer here. 4th of July weekend on a Friday night. Sox, Yankees, a whole bunch to get to. Sylver here on a Friday on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
Still scoreless in the Bronx. We got a bases-loaded situation, however, here right now in the bottom of the 4th. Yankees threatening against Tanner Houck with just one out. We'll see if he can get through it. Houck has walked 3 and allowed 2 hits here through 3 in the 3rd inning. So we're starting to see some cracks in the hull of the SS Tanner Houck. Remains to be seen. Elsewhere in the American League East, we've got the Rays and Rangers scoreless in the 3rd right now. Orioles and A's will get underway at 9:40. Blue Jays and Mariners at 9:40 as well. Revs in Seattle tomorrow night. If you want to catch up on that, we got some Copa America tonight. Venezuela against Canada. And at Wimbledon, Coco Gauff, the top-seeded American woman, 2 seed for the tournament. She moved on in straight sets. Carlos Alcaraz needed straight 5 sets to move on to the quarterfinals over on the men's side. Your Sports Up headlines brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Sean Sylver, Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Up. Next update, a little after 9.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on
stuff behind the opponent's back. Hit you with Jimmy Hart's megaphone. Jacques and Raymond Rougeau. Watching SmackDown, just saw Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, beat up some people. That's not going to be a feud down the line, Jeff.
You know how money that match is?
Well, I mean,
that's a WrestleMania main event if I ever saw one.
It is. I still have my doubts about Jade as a worker. She's looking better than she did in AEW. So she's getting there. She's clearly got, she clearly has it. She is extremely strong. Not the best promo, not the best worker, but she clearly has something. So let's see what happens out here. Watching SmackDown, watching the Red Sox and the Yankees, my word. Tanner Houck ran into some trouble. A lot of ducks on the pond, and now he's out of this game. Tanner Houck looking like he's headed to the All-Star team, which is deserved, but the wheels coming off the last couple of starts for the Sox. Big pitcher this year. And does that mean the wheels are coming off for the Sox in general? You heard him on the baseball hour, Tyler Milliken. If they sweep the Yankees, then ownership's got to do something. Management, we're just not going to get that again. We're not going to get them going all out. Even if they did take the Stanley Cup champions this year to 6 games in their second round series. The last 3 games were all 1-goal games. So, the Bruins, they got Elias Lindholm. I checked. He was the 66th pick in my in the Sports Hub Fantasy Hockey League. Or I guess there's a bunch of Sports Hub alumni in there that I'm in. 66th guy off the board. So you're talking a top 100 player. And he's not getting paid huge, but you had to allocate some money for him. You're going to have to allocate some money for Jeremy Swayman. You are paying money for value that you expect. The Bruins need to get unexpected value from somewhere now because that's just the position they've painted themselves into here. Charlie Coyle ain't going anywhere. He's got a no-movement clause. He's got some years left here in Boston. And frankly, they need him because they're weak at center. They finally got a guy who I guess could play as a top-line center in Lindholm. Hampus Lindholm is here. He solidifies your D. Do you really need him now? Could be your third pairing D-man. But he's here for a bunch of years. Of course, you're investing in the goalie because you hit on one with Swayman. You're keeping him around. Marchand's still making bank. Pasternak's still making bank. You've got a backup goalie now who's making $3 million. That didn't make any sense to me at all. When you trade a Vezina winner and have to bring back a guy, who's not very good. They need to find production, as Matt said, from the youths. He didn't actually say that. I'm just saying that's basically the point that he made. I'm the one who said youths. All right, Red Sox, hey, there we go. Home run. 3-1 now. So we'll see. We'll see how much, the Bruins, they brought in a 30-year-old as their big acquisition. Zadorov's 29. So, maybe there'll be foundational pieces for these guys here over the next few years. But they're keeping with this pattern. They need the young guys. Unlike the 90s, they need young guys to step in and fill in and keep this thing churning. And maybe one year you get lucky because that's what you got to go with now. So that's where we're at with the Bees. See Mike and Andover on. Let's talk to Mike. Mike, how are you?
How's it going?
Doing all right. How are you?
Not bad. Hey, I heard you were watching SmackDown, so I want to get your opinion on the incredibly long storytelling that they're doing across the board here, where it doesn't seem like they wrap anything up. We got to wait for our tribal chief Roman Reigns to show up. And I want to get your opinion on the long game that Triple H is playing.
Well, Mike, let me just ask yours because I'm ready to give mine. But are you a fan or not?
I'm a fan in parts, but I'd like to see some of these stories wrap up. I'm not watching 5 hours of wrestling every week to move the dial, 3% on a storyline. So I get the big stories, the Bloodline storyline makes sense to me, but I think we got to move some of this stuff along. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have been percolating for like 6 months. I get Punk was hurt,
right?
But it just seems like everything's a long game here.
Okay, Mike, I'll give you my take on that, and thanks for the call. Appreciate all the callers jumping in tonight. I like the long-term storytelling because hot-shotting isn't my thing. It wasn't my thing during the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars, Vince Russo-style stuff. I grew up on WWE where you had your syndicated weekend shows. I hate to sound like an old here, but you had your syndicated weekend shows. You had Saturday night's main event, and you had pay-per-views. And, you didn't even have Monday Night Raw at the time when I started watching in the late 80s.
Prime time.
Right? Prime time wrestling. You would have like one good match on that show. The reason to tune in was Gorilla and Bobby.
Exactly. That was the whole reason to watch that show. You're absolutely right.
The whole reason. So, obviously, the stakes have been different since they got to Raw in 93, SmackDown in 99, all the other. It's WWE is a constant presence. So you've got to churn some storylines just because you need stuff happening on shows. But I love the fact that I feel like Triple H is one who's going to lean into long-term storytelling, maybe the belts having more meaning than just being passed around all the damn time. We've already seen that with, Gunther holding the Intercontinental. We saw that with the New Day setting the record with the tag team titles a number of years ago. So I like the fact that, they've kind of overcorrected from Vince McMahon's oversight of the whole process here. Now, the overcorrection, you can probably find a happy medium between the two, to Mike's point. Yeah, not everything needs to be some sort of epic journey, but you have things like injuries, which back in the day, they just make the guys fight through the injuries. And you know what? That's probably it has a little bit to do with why a lot of those 80s and early 90s guys aren't around anymore. So, if you have injuries that make long-term storytelling a necessity, then that's just what you got to work around there. But I'm a fan of this. I'm not a fan of having a monthly pay-per-view. It's tough. When WCW used to do it in the 90s, it's tough to have to fill a monthly pay-per-view and make it seem like this stuff matters. But if you have different stories going on with different people, you have, not just everything banking on one or two storylines, you can keep me interested in some of these mid-card feuds. Keep me interested. Keep me invested. That's where I'm at with wrestling right now. I'm getting back into WWE a little bit. I was AEW for a little while, and you want to talk about hot-shotting angles. My God.
It feels like that whole organization has just kind of fallen apart. It's like old WCW, not in terms of quality, because they have good talent over there, but in terms of direction and just guidance.
Yeah.
It's the inmates running the asylum, and it's not good for business.
Exactly, and that's why WCW died. Did you watch the 4-part series?
I only saw the first episode.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. I listened to the Laps Fan, which I'll always pump the tires of the Laps Fan. But I listened to the Laps Fan kind of talking about the 4-part series, which
was that like a 12-hour podcast?
I don't know. I forget. Couple hours. They'd bring on a different guest for each one. But yes, as a solar system member there, I enjoy their take on things. But anyways, SmackDown going on. Sox Yankees. They got a run back. Hey, let's get your headlines here. I'll take a break here. Sylver in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
call any around my area. No.
See, so I talked to other people who also did not have rain, but we did. I'll tell you, the neighbors, they kept it going. They did not let rain spoil their party. And, hey, maybe we'll need some of that spirit tomorrow for any 4th of July festivities, because there may be some more showers tomorrow as well. So that's difficult. Look at this, Jeff. Look at this. On the SmackDown TV, they just showed Demolition.
They're showing all the old school tag teams.
The great tag teams.
The great tag teams of all time.
Of which we are one. We are one. The Silver Fox. What did they call you in the chat here? The oh boy, the King of Joins or something. Rejoins.
The King of Rejoiners.
The King of Rejoins. He is. He played Detroit Rock City right there. You a Kiss guy?
I enjoy some of their songs.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're not like a Kiss head, like somebody who's
no.
I'm
not like
Kiss.
hardcore. No. I enjoy a few of their songs.
Yeah.
The self-titled, well, not self-titled, but the movie Detroit Rock City. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I thought that was
like
a fun
late
little
'90s,
movie.
maybe.
Yeah, I think that was like 1999.
Yeah.
It was a fun little movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I can go without them.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some fun songs. The Detroit reference there is because I recently had a culinary breakthrough. I'm a big pizza guy. I'll eat any pizza, really. Again, like we were talking about with Matt Dolloff last hour, I got no rules on my pizzas. Just like I got no rules on toppings on any sort of hot dog or whatever. Burger. Pineapple, fine. Good. More, please. But I got some Detroit-style pizza over the weekend. Now, I obviously know the different styles. I had thought that Chicago style was really like the Cadillac of pizzas. Like a night, and hey, maybe you like meat, right? I like a good veggie pizza. Just give me a veggie deep dish, just load it up with those hot vegetables, cheese, and plenty of sauce. Give me lots of sauce. All right, give me a bath of that stuff right there. But after having Detroit style, I was like, this is kind of the best of both worlds. Jeff, have you had the Detroit style experience and your thoughts?
Yes, I have, and it is phenomenal. I am a big fan of Detroit style pizza.
Like, I got to go back and do it again to be able to assess. I had two different. I had a veggie, and I had just a cheese, and they were very different experiences, the veggie and the cheese. But the fact that you can get some glop on there, like a Chicago, but it really holds up. It doesn't fall apart. And there's a sort of consistency to the crust. And
that caramelized, cheese on the... It's phenomenal.
The way that the crust holds together, the way that the cheese, does its job. It's not gloppy. I don't know how they're doing it, what this witchcraft is, but I'll tell you, I enjoyed it very much. How far behind am I on this?
Oh, dude, I was eating Detroit-style pizza back in the 90s.
What?
Yep.
So wait, they had it? Oh,
yeah.
Because, again, you say Detroit-style, and some people would probably say, what, Little Caesars? No, not that Detroit.
Well, not like that specific, but they did have a Detroit-style, deep dish pizza that I used to get a lot from them.
Wow. Who's them?
Little Caesars.
Little Caesars
Yes.
had a Detroit-style on the menu?
Yes.
There was never a Little Caesars near me growing up, so I missed out on that.
Oh, I had one right down the street.
There was nothing on the Cape, and this is something that came up with the Bob stores closing, the last week. I was just like, you know what? We didn't have no Bob stores on the Cape.
I could have sworn there had to have been some down there. No, really.
I don't think we did. Maybe there was, and I just wasn't aware. But no Caldor, no Leechmere, no.
Where did you go back to school shopping?
I don't know, Marshalls or Bradley's.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you had Bradley's.
Sears, maybe. Okay. I don't know. There was a Sears in the mall. I don't know what it. he didn't have a lot of chains down the Cape. I don't even know if there was Little Caesars on Cape Cod.
Probably not.
There might have been, but so yeah, I've only heard about this within like the last couple of years. This Detroit style. It finally happened, and it was great. Maybe not a great free agency for the Detroit Pistons. How do you like that one right there? They did get Tobias Harris on a contract, and Tobias Harris moving to the Pistons means Paul George had a spot on the Philadelphia 76ers. With the thought of NBA free agency and the many rumblings around the league, how they may impact the Celtics on our minds, I want to bring in a guy who we chatted with last year around this weekend, Mike Zakarian. He is the definitive NBA comedian. We will hear from Mike next on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
but we'll do some food talk, and we'll plug in the NBA and NHL trades and other various such reactions when we can. And you can join us at 617-779-0985. As is becoming a bit of a tradition, you could say, we welcome back to 98.5 The Sports Hub Mike Zakarian. He is the definitive NBA comedian and the host of the NBA Bit, which you can catch on playback weekday mornings. It's a part of my morning. I sometimes I lurk in there. Maybe Mike should know that. Sometimes I lurk in there. But it gets me up to date, and glad to have him back on the program to talk a little bit about, I wouldn't say it's been a madness kind of free agency period here, but it's there's some business going down, and we need to address it. So, Mike, how you doing? Did we get Mike? Is this the same? There he is.
You got me back?
I gotcha. How you doing?
All right. This is good. Not only is it a tradition for me to come in every year now, it's also a tradition for my audio to hiccup at the beginning. So I'm glad we're staying true to who we are, and I'm happy to be back.
Nothing but authentic, Mike. Quick thing we discussed with our last guest, Matt Dolloff. Ketchup on hot dogs. Is that okay, or are we going to condiment shame around here?
No, listen, I'm not going to be condiment shaming anyone. If you're a ketchup person, you can be a ketchup person. I am a ketchup person on hot dogs. I am.
We're a very accepting program here. Mike, I know you're headed back to Massachusetts. You got some big plans for the weekend. Hopefully it'll be a fun weekend. You are engaging in the holiday weekend wedding, it sounds like.
Yes, yeah. It's the only wedding the only wedding season I want to be a part of is the holiday weekend wedding season. So yeah, that's this. We've got one tomorrow. Fitting in some golf beforehand though, so it's everybody wins.
So there you go. Everybody wins. We're very accepting around here of all types of weddings, all types of condiments, and maybe not all types of NBA off-season moves. I kind of wanted to bring up. Free agency, I feel like the dust settled kind of quickly. You knew LeBron wasn't going anywhere. Like, they just drafted his kid, right? Paul George, the big name to change teams. I mean, he's very good, but I just feel like he's kind of been chilling in L.A. for a half decade. And I mean, he's going to be very good for the Sixers, but I just kind of wonder if it's more of a name signing than an actual X's and O's signing for them at this point.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting. Paul George is like the first free agent star to get signed. And I think since Kawhi went from Toronto to the Clippers, because what we've seen so far in the last handful of years is the only way stars move are via trade. They sign a 5-year deal for hundreds of millions of dollars. And then 9 months later, they're like, hey, I would like to go play somewhere else. So it was kind of weird to actually see a star free agent get moved. Yeah. But I don't know. I like it for Philly. I think they needed to show Embiid that they still wanted to try and surround him with talent. I don't think it makes them better than the Celtics. Maybe not even better than the Knicks in the East. But I don't know. I think I like that they're going for it.
Okay, so you just mentioned the Knicks there, and yeah, I'll agree with you that this is a move. Paul George to the Sixers makes them. At least on paper, it's showing your superstar, hey, we mean business. Kind of like Dame to Milwaukee showed. It didn't work out, hey, sure. But we showed we're trying to pair you with a name. This is what it's all about. It's about the glitz. It's about the recognition. The Knicks, to me, seem to be going almost opposite that. They seem to be team building. Their very best effort at building a team with depth. And, I mentioned an article that I read on Yahoo Sports this week, Tom Haberstroh, saying this is no longer like you need to assemble a big three. This is more of you need a big five. And the Knicks, well, they have a team that has some cohesiveness, but I also feel that's going to be accompanied with, and you would know this because of your geography, where you're located, Knicks fans are going to always tend to go a little bit overboard in their assessment of how things are going, for better or for worse.
Yeah, I mean, they created the Bing. I don't know if people remember this. The Bing Bong video happened after the first game of the season
against the Celtics.
Yes, that was game one. That wasn't after a playoff game. It was freaking October, and that's when the video came out. I like what the Knicks are doing because they might not win a championship, but they're winning friendship. They're bringing friends together. They're showing that college matters again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. And I think that it's like being in New York, it is way more fun when the Knicks are good, whether you're a Knicks fan or not. There's just like, it's hard to even explain what. Honestly, it reminds me of Boston in the 2003 to 2007 like Red Sox run, where like it just was alive every single day, whether it was game day or not. So I do think it's fun, but I think the Knicks will be the second or third best team in the East, but they kind of seem like a Boston Celtics light, where I still don't think they can get up to like the level of talent the Celtics have surrounded them with. Like the Celtics are almost a more superior version of what the Knicks did, except they just didn't go to college together.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because of what they're building here, I don't think that the top end talent is quite there. And one of our callers was like, "Oh, hey, all these guys played in college together; they've got cohesion." It's like, well, Julius Randle wasn't exactly a part of that. I mean, this used to be Julius Randle's team. He's a talented player and is kind of going to be an element of, much like the question was for the Celtics, can the certain Knicks fit into their role and quote unquote sacrifice for the greater good. It would be an interesting playoff matchup to see the Knicks try to be what the Celtics are now.
Absolutely, that would be so fun. And it is funny, everybody talks about college cohesion. You know what's also cool is like professional cohesion, and the Celtics team, like the core of them have been together for a while now. But of course, Drew Holiday and Porzingis just got here this year, but like Tatum and Brown, which we like to hate on forever about how it wasn't going to work with them, they've been playing together for such a long time. So they are, yes, it is very cute that Villanova now has a professional team that has moved from Philadelphia to New York. And hey, maybe that's how Philadelphia gets a victory, is by their former college students winning a chip for them.
Got to happen some way. And again, with the New York perspective here, you saw some Isaiah Hartenstein playing, in recent years. Seems like a nice player. But, again, the assessments of Oklahoma City that I'm getting, I mean, they add him and Alex Caruso, and suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, they're ready. Again, it's free agency period. We kind of need some things to get excited about when we don't have, huge superstars switching addresses all the time. But he was, I've seen some lists. He was ranked like the 6th or 7th best free agent. And it's just like, well, wait a minute. I had him on my fantasy team. He's pretty good. Is he going to totally transform OKC around Shea and Williams and Chet?
I think Hartenstein is like, it's more that there weren't a lot of bigs available, and that's how he somehow got like 3 years and $87 million. And it was like such a thing that the Thunder were missing. So it's not even like he's a superstar big. Yeah. Like he honestly might not start. He might come off the bench for them, but it was so clearly like that's what they were missing. And that series against Dallas, like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford for the Mavericks just kind of bodied them over and over and over again on the boards. And, I think like that does sure that up quite a bit. And Caruso, I think no one's been mad when Caruso's been on their team. So it's just like a good vibe. Anytime you can get a short, bald white guy that wears a headband, I think it's just good for camaraderie.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Cardinal had a role in the league that he carved out by being he maybe wasn't necessarily short, but he was kind of a dumpy balding guy who just good for camaraderie. Would have loved him on some Celtics teams at the time. One move that happened kind of early on here as well. I mean, it seems like really they all happened early on. You had Buddy Hield, of course, going to Golden State yesterday. Franz Wagner signing extension with the Magic. But I guess kind of splashy in a way in terms of names. Chris Paul is going to be hanging out in San Antonio next year, and the Spurs baffled me. I mean, it seems like they have 3 or 4 really talented guys. They've got a Hall of Fame coach in Popovich, and just. They were really just turning up on the losing end of a lot of games last year. I think they might have had they were close to the bottom record in the league. Chris Paul and Wemby, is there going to be some dividends to be paid there?
Well, part of the reason the Spurs lost 1 billion games at the beginning of the season, and Popovich, who obviously is one of the best coaches of all time, he took his power forward, this guy from Poland, Jeremy Sohan, and he was like, hey, instead of being a power forward, how about you be the point guard? And you know what? it's better to have a point guard than a power forward play point guard. So I think he was really bad at it. So I do think adding Chris Paul is going to be a lot of fun. I got really excited, and I know Golden State Warriors fans have, circled Lowry Markkanen and have put posters up already on their walls. I was kind of hoping that San Antonio was going to get a little frisky and get Lowry over there because they have tons of assets to make that move work, and Danny Ainge loves picks. And I think like Lowry next to Wemby with Chris Paul would be a lot of fun. But I always get nervous when people are excited to bring someone that's my age onto their roster. And so Chris Paul and I, we probably have to go to the same, have the same annual checkups now at the doctor. So I don't know how much that's going to really move the needle, but I think having an actual point guard is going to help Wemby tremendously.
Absolutely. And, same with getting your annual checkups. Those are very important no matter what age you're at. Certainly as it advances, towards the ages that we're at, something you got to keep at the front of mind. Probably something that DeMar DeRozan's got to keep at the front of mind. He kind of turns out as he's the best free agent available, I guess, by a lot of metrics right now. I mean, anybody needed a professional bucket getter out there? It seems to me that the intrigue right now, and it's obviously it's always the move that you don't see coming, but as far as the moves that seem to be telegraphed, it seems like Markkanen, wherever he's going in a trade, is going to be one, and wherever DeMar DeRozan lands, will he land with a contender, or will he just go somewhere to continue to pad his resume on the way to presumably 30,000 career points? Because that dude's just been getting buckets since the aughts. It's crazy.
He's a dying art for him with that mid-range game. Yeah, I don't. All I know is DeMar was in the Kendrick Lamar video, and so I felt like that had to get him out to L.A. somehow, whether it was the Clippers or the Lakers. I don't really know where he makes the most sense, though, because with the Lakers under J.J. Redick now is only doing math and three-pointers, and DeMar doesn't really fit that. I do think the Clippers kind of make sense if he went there, but there was a lot of rumors today that he might end up in Sacramento, which I guess would be an interesting fit, and the Kings could get excited because I can't remember the last time someone was like, where I'll go? Sacramento. So I think that would be a good win for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. You would think more teams would be kind of clawing to go get DeRozan, and it hasn't happened yet.
You had a video, and we're talking with Mike Zakarian here. You had a video that I saw earlier this week about the Celtics being for sale.
Yeah.
They splashed the cash this week. Obviously, they're still the favorite to win the title. Do you have a favorite potentially in the race to be the next owner of the Boston Celtics?
Oh, that's great. I think I'm legally supposed to say Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo come together and do it, but I think everyone else has already made that joke, if not on the radio, at least on the internet, which should be a lot of fun. Scalabrini's become like a real loud Bostonian lately. I wouldn't mind Scal and Eddie House come together and pull some funds together and make that happen. I think that could be fun. I think just to keep the redheaded energy in it.
Is there any chance that the Top Shot community, potentially just putting a bunch of those together might be able to scratch some cash to get part of this ownership group maybe?
I think if we went back in time 3 or 4 years ago, we might have been able to make that happen. I think at this point, we have to pay money to get rid of them.
I'm just waiting for the next locker pack to be released. Those always get me real excited out there.
That's all you need. Hey, how funny was it though? To announce you were selling the team in between $100 million purchases. I thought that was such a cool thing. Like, hey, Derek White, here's $129 million. Hold on, I got to send out an email because I'm selling the team. And then Jason Tatum, you can have $300 million. I hope to someday be in a position where I can just do that. That sounds great.
Again, if you remain team hold, it may come around again, Mike. It may come around again. And
there you go.
And while too that the Celtics, they're at this prime event, for their evaluation being this high, or excuse me, their valuation being this high right now, and they don't even own TD Garden. They're tenants here. You're basically, the brand right now it's literally, the brand is worth $5 billion or whatever it is. That's just,
I just learned that the other day from my dad. I did not realize that they were tenants of the TD Garden. And you're right, they would be that you're strictly selling or buying a brand in the Celtics. But you're right. I mean, the time is now. You are the defending champs. The NBA is signing this 700 and quadrillion whatever media rights deal. And so, yeah, from a business sense, it makes a ton of sense. But it was just so funny to see the news hit like that the other day.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wild week to be a Celtics fan. Hopefully things will settle down and we can just kind of get back to the business of winning in the fall. But we'll see how that plays out, as well as many other storylines. I'm sure we'll get some surprises throughout the NBA over the summer. If we do, Mike, I know you'll be covering it. I know you'll be keeping it fun, and we appreciate your contributions to the NBA fan experience. So, Mike, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your golf. Enjoy the nuptials that you'll be witnessing this weekend, and always great to have you on.
And I appreciate it again. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to talking to you again next 4th of July holiday weekend.
All right. Be well, my friend.
Take care.
Mike Zakarian joining us. He is the definitive NBA comedian. He is also weekdays on Playback, hosting the NBA Bit, which, again, I drop in there and lurk and take the pulse of what the NBA community is saying, sometimes in my bathrobe. I mean, that's just an option that you have these days. 98.5 The Sports Hub, Sean Sylver, Jeff Williams alongside, playing the hits. We're here till 11 and for Joe Murray.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, the Red Sox have not managed to chip away anymore on a 3-1 Yankees lead that knocked Tanner Houck out of the game in the 4th inning. But the Sox now, as we head to the 8th, continue to trail this one 3-1. The key play in this one seemed to be a double play ball. Emmanuel Valdez and Ceddanne Rafaela did not make the connection on the double play ball, resulting in an error and the unraveling of Houck's time in the game. Looking around the W tonight, Dallas Wings looking for their 5th win of the season. 10 seconds left. They got a 5-point lead on Atlanta. We'll see Vegas play LA. We'll say Chicago play Seattle tonight. That means you got who in action? You got Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese. Gonna have some stars playing tonight in the WNBA. John Deere Classic. 2 players at the top there, C.T. Pan and Aaron Rai. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is it Aaron Ray? He's an Englishman. R-A-I, that should be Rai. Not to match my sense of humor. They're at the top at 14 under with a 1-shot lead overall. And at Wimbledon today, Carlos Alcaraz needed 5 sets to get past Francis Tiafoe, the American. He moves on to the quarterfinals. Number 1 men's seed Jannik Sinner moving on. Number 2 seed on the women's side, Coco Gauff. She represents the good old US of A. She got a straight set victory. Your headlines brought to you by... It's going to be Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your agent about safety. I'm Sean Sylver, Boston Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports. Up next, update at 10.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
98.5 The Sports Hub. It's the Joe Murray Show. Sean Sylver sitting in for Joe tonight. We got Jeff Williams sitting in for James Scaramuzzino this evening as we roll along. The 10 o'clock hour awaits. We got a foxhole coming up for you. We just talked to Mike Zakarian for a little bit. Interesting how Mike gives the New York Knicks credit. We've had callers giving the New York Knicks credit tonight. People are in on the Knicks. I was immediately dismissive. A team who has not won a championship in over 50 years that seems to disintegrate. Every time they have something good, they manage to mess it up. And it's not just the Isaiah Thomas era. It's just been a litany of decisions over the years that have not been good for basketball, or that they think are going to be good, and then, Allen Houston's knees disintegrate. So some people clearly think the New York Knicks have something going. Maybe potential matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals for the Celtics next year. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Philadelphia 76ers. I think that that's probably where the money is going to be as far as the Eastern Conference. I think the moment is past for the Bucks. The moment is past unless they do something interesting on the Miami Heat. I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers are ever going to get a moment. Just unfortunately, they are sticking with what they know, and that's more and more Donovan Mitchell. Used to be kind of high on that guy, but it's clear that the Cavs are limited in what their ceiling is. Let's get to some calls here again before we hit the foxhole, and you can join us at 617-779-0985. As always, I am grateful to hear from the man in North Providence, JP. How are you?
Sylver, coming back from the break with some Gangsta's Paradise. I like it.
Yes.
Bring a little edge to the show. I've been hitting up YouTube, going on the chat. I like the chat because then I get to put more things that nobody wants to hear, and I just type them in. But we got to get you to call in when they're talking basketball. I was praying you called in on the NBA draft. I remember those Sunday nights after the Celtics when they weren't the champs, and there was Sylver. You know basketball. By the way, the Knicks are like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're not going to win anything. They might get around. They're not going to win anything. So let's get some important stuff going, Sylver.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. First of all, pizza in the Cape. You got to be talking Ember's Pizza in Harwich, right?
Man, never had it.
Oh.
Gonna out myself as never having had it. My mom is a Harwich native, and I'd never had it.
Oh, it's a great spot. But a little out of the box is a spot I hit a lot coming down Route 1 after the train station. Margarita Pizza at Wegmans. You get in there before they close that counter. They got some nice pizza coming right out of the oven, Silver.
You're a Weggies fan.
Oh, I love Wegmans. Yeah, I get to hop out with some rich people, pretend I can afford it.
Ember coal-fire pizza?
Oh, all day long. You watch people sit around the fire. They get drunk. Who's falling into the brick? Who's falling into the fire? Great place to be. But I'm getting to the two important questions, Silver.
Sure.
You know it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
I got two questions for the Macho Man.
Oh, all right.
First of all, your dad was a wrestler. You're a wrestler. Then Leap and Lanny followed you in. What's the Macho Man's thoughts on LeBron bringing Bronny in, leading the way for him, and are the Road Warriors the best tag team of all time? You said Demolition. I'm going with.
Well, I'll answer straight up as myself, JP. The Road Warriors are the best tag team of all time. With you there 100% on that, and always nice to hear from you. As far as LeBron, got a little thing on my mind. Yeah, little thing came to my attention the other day. Yeah, you just brought it up again. JP, you're poking the bear. Poking the Macho Man right where it hurts. Yeah. Nepotism is not necessarily a four-letter word. However, I will submit to you, all right? Angelo Puffo had two sons. Macho Man Randy Savage was one. Greatest Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of all time. Yeah. Leapin' Lanny Poffo. He was okay, but I'll remind you of a man known as the Genius. And if you're telling me
that the genius was not the cream of the crop when it came to professional wrestling managers, then I would tell you that you are erroneous and out of line. So the Popo family held up their end of the bill. Bronny James, you are not going to be an NBA All-Star. I don't even think you're going to be a rotation player. And there's nothing wrong with that. You'll probably find your way in the world, yeah. But you have no business on an NBA court after averaging 4 points a game at USC. Hey, I know it takes a lot of heart to get to the NBA, and you have had your fair share of heart problems. I'm not going to hold that against you. But until you prove it, the proof is in the pudding. And that pudding is rotten, yeah. Jeff Williams! You a Bronny James fan?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. But I know Jeff Williams, he has a lot of heart. Oh, yeah! Cream of the crop! And I'm out.
Let's go to Paul in Rhode Island. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Wow, that was fantastic. That was great. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Paul.
Listen, my man, Sylver.
Yes.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
Or
sure.
Is it illegal for one franchise under the table to let another franchise borrow money, whether they're doing good or bad? And that's all. And by the way, I miss Mason Souza. That's all.
You know what, Paul?
Mason, who is in the YouTube chat right now.
Mason,
shout out.
I hope
Mace.
you heard that. I hope you heard that, my friend. Mason Souza, I miss you every day. And that's not to say that Jeff or anyone else here is not exceptional at that job, but this place is better with Mason in the fabric. So always a shout to Mason. But to Paul's question, what are we talking about? Like a little under the table loan? A little IOU? I don't think there's anything necessarily illegal about that, right? It's you secure your financing. How do you secure your financing? Who hasn't taken a little, hey, I'll Venmo you for the coal-fired pizza after I fall into the fire. You're picking up the tab, I'll pick up the tab next time around. Now, if you take my salary or Jeff's salary, and I'm not saying that either one of us is not necessarily well-to-do, I'm just guessing. If you take our salary and a little IOU with a friend, that's probably commensurate to, say, an owner of a sports team saying, hey, can I borrow $1 million? I'll hit you back. I'll hit you back on the first, my brother. All right?
We have new WWE Tag Team Champions.
DIY? Wow. A-Town is indeed down. Is this a first for them? They seem very emotional.
Yes, this is a first on the big leagues here. I believe they were former NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, those are two guys who have worked very long and hard to get to where they are. Very happy for them, and we will do wrestling segments. The 10 o'clock hour here, I've got some stuff to get off my chest about. Boy band, summer concert tours, possibly more food takes. We'll do some wrestling. And we got the Foxhole coming up. So I see y'all in the chat. I see Mason in the chat. I've seen George in the chat tonight. I've seen Jeff, of course, the would you say the curator of the museum that is the chat right now. But I appreciate everybody jumping in on there. Mason's feeling the love. I am too. Hey, yeah. Ooh, what a rush. Can we start off well, maybe not. We got a foxhole to get to. But I want to play some LOD later. I got so much I want to do. I'm re-energized after those calls there. I'm re-energized. Sylver, till 11 on the Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
Takes good care of me. In the foxhole this evening, shout out to Larry listening out there on the road. Hope things are going well on your Friday night. As we got about 55 minutes left with this program. And who knows what you could get into on a summer Friday night where, well, let's be real. MLB has taken over here for a couple of weeks until Patriots camp opens, right? We got the All-Star break coming up soon, but right now, the Red Sox have just dropped the opener of this three-game set to the Yankees 3-1. And Milliken and McCarthy, I think it was specifically out of Milliken's mouth, if they can sweep the Yankees, well, it's not happening. Not happening. Now, can they bounce back and take 2 of 3? Then we're feeling pretty good. Oh, wait, that wasn't the final out? I thought that was the final out. Okay. Maybe I'm putting him in the grave already. Because my eyes are tricking me. But tonight in the foxhole, as we wait for that game to go final, and, we wait for any other sports news to get popping right now, I wanted to just bring to Jeff's attention some of the things that, because our children are of vastly different ages. Your daughter of the graduating from high school age.
Yes.
My kid just finishing kindergarten age, or at least my oldest kid. So you probably remember this. We've reached the stage where it's summertime. Where are they going to go? Are they going to go to grandma's house? They're going to go to camp for a little bit. So we've done a couple weeks of camp so far. And Will and I had the opportunity to share about an hour and a half in the car the other day, and we're just talking, we're flipping through the radio, because, he can ask for a song, and I'll bring it up on Spotify. Fine, I'll play you a song. But while we're in the truck, we're going to listen to CDs, we're going to listen to albums, we're going to figure out, do we like this band, do we like that band, and we're going to flip through the radio. And sometimes Dad's going to listen to sports radio, see what's going on. Red Sox are alive right now, running on first. But, sometimes we're just going to flip around and find a good tune that's on and, figure out, do we like that band? 6-year-old kid. Well, we're in the car the other day and, figure out what we were listening to. And he goes, "Hey, Dad, can I hear that song about I've been married a long time?" And I was just like, wait a minute, what? You mean like Cotton Eye Joe? And he goes, yeah, Cotton Eye Joe. And he didn't even say it right.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
So, okay, let's play some Cotton Eye Joe. Let's play some Rednecks from the albums Sex and Violins. So we played this. Kind of weird, too, because I pulled it up on YouTube. Right? I don't subscribe to Spotify Premium because I'm a cheap ass. So, didn't play the exact song. Went to YouTube, pulled it up. And the video I played had, the lyrics in it. I had no idea what this song was about. Did you know this, Jeff?
What was that?
Who Cotton Eye Joe is?
I feel like I've heard this before, and I just don't remember. But it's nothing good, I don't think.
Oh, he's apparently this handsome man who shows up in this town, and he walks away with all the women. So that's why the guy would have been married a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Because Cotton Eye Joe came to town and whisked away all of the eligible bachelorettes.
Thanks, Joe.
A jerk. So we listened to that. And I was like, so, I don't know, where'd you learn about this? At camp. And he goes, hey, can we do that song where they're talking about, all the things that you have to do? You got to stomp, and you got to go to the left, and you got to go to the right. And I was like, you mean the cha-cha slide? Cha-cha slide. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? And he goes, can we listen to, I don't know. It's someone singing in another language. and you put your hands on your head and your hands on your hips, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, the Macarena? Don't want to eat. If you're done eating, the older kids get to dance, but sometimes we join in. And I was like, well, these are the songs that you're... It's like, wow. And I was telling this to my wife, and she says, it's like those memes where they're like, tell me that your kid's camp counselor is a millennial without actually saying it. And I was just like, yeah, I guess so. Either that or, like, I don't know how this unless your, like, camp counselor is, like, 40, how this is getting, like, passed down, or 35. I don't know. When were these are all, like, 94 through 96. Were these just, like, staple dance songs for kids of the next several generations?
Yeah, especially Cotton Eye Joe. I mean, the kids love that song.
Live Cotton Eye, okay. So I just was like, all right, hey, I heard all these songs at, like, the middle school dance. And then I heard him again at the weddings, for
especially Cha-Cha Slide. That's every wedding.
God. Yeah, Cha-Cha Slide's every wedding. Cotton Eye Joe a little less, and I think the Macarena is like kind of a wedding rarity, but it definitely pops up. But yeah, my kids learning all these songs. I thought I'd gotten away from them. But they're following me around into the 2020s. And then he popped up with another one. And he goes, I forget how he described it. But I was like, wait, from his description, I go, the Cupid Shuffle?
Here we go. We gonna show you how it goes.
And I said, wait a minute. I actually don't know when this song came out. Because this song, the genre that it exists in, right? Like an instructional dance song, that could be like Electric Slide On, right? That could be the like songs from the 60s. They used to tell you how to do the twist and tell you how to do all these different things. I was like, was this song from the 90s? Was it from the 2000s? When did I start hearing it? I guess it was going to weddings. This song came out in 2007. I thought it was way older than that. Where do you land on that, Jeff? Did you think this is a newer song or an older song?
No, I assumed this was like an early 2000s.
Early
like
2000s?
Late 90s.
Okay. 2007. 2007. And I figured it out, as I'm like at a point in my life where it's like, all right, how much money am I putting aside for my retirement? How much money am I putting aside for my children's education? Man, there's got to be some way that I can grind out, some extra income, get... the Cameo is not bringing in, floods of requests. I'll say that. Although I do have a listener in here in the chat who did request a Cameo from the Macho Man, and it was, I guess it was enjoyed. So feel free to leave a review. But there's got to be some other source of income that I can get at here. Maybe what I got to do is put together some sort of wedding, like line dance, instructional like song where it's like, now go over in the corner, now jump up in the air. We're gonna figure it out. If anybody can help me figure it out, it's Jeff. Maybe we do it in the style of, say, a Creed song. Maybe that's it. Can you cross your fingers and jump into the air? It's easy. It's like Leaping Lanny Poffo making poems. It's like, Hulk Hogan is no good, and I'm going to rock his neighborhood. It's weird how that works in life.
For I am the genius, the smartest man alive.
The world's smartest man with my mortarboard and gown. But it's, it's funny what hits with people. I got to be able to find a way. I can't freaking believe, Jeff, as we're rolling through the foxhole here. The Red Sox, who I I reverse jinxed the Red Sox.
No. I haven't even been paying attention. They really tied this?
I said the game was over because, of course, I do not have the benefit of audio. I'm watching Nesson. I see a weak ground ball, and they throw the guy out, and it says, and here's the the play of the game or whatever. They just go to the cut screen. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, they're getting into the post-game stuff. No, there was still one batter left. They have tied it up. This is amazing. This is great. This is the kind of win. This is the kind of team that I can get behind. A team that grinds it out. A team that nobody expected to be in this position. Not even me. I called it. It's yet another Sylver calls the Red Sox game. See you in 30. One of those moments. Good grief. But anyways, these songs are following me around through my child. I did not expect them to come back. I thought they were forgotten relics of the 90s. But apparently, Jeff, you have experience, having a kid. These things will just continue on. Because I haven't gone to, too many weddings in recent years. It has slowed down. The flow of the nuptials has slowed down, and now it's maybe like one a year, and I get really hyped up for that, but when it was like 5 or 6 a year, it was like, no, this is draining my bank account and hurting my back.
Same.
You know a thing or two about a hurt back.
Literally, when I messed up my back a couple of years ago, it was after a friend's wedding because they played Buddy Holly and I proceeded to do the Fonz dance from the video.
Oh, well, God bless you for that.
And yeah, then I threw my back out for 3 months.
Oh, no. Oh. So that was the culprit of Jeff walking around here. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's fine. It's funny now because, man, oh boy, that was bad.
Oh, gosh. All right, well, Cotton Eye Joe lives on, and he's going to keep requesting it, and there's probably going to be more. Wondering what's next. Will Gangsta's Paradise make his way into the playlist? I would welcome that. 617-779-0985. You want to jump on with us? We got about 40 minutes left up in this piece. Me and Jeff, Ben here since 7, in for Joe. More to come. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Clogged drain never happened.
LOD coming out at SummerSlam 92 on motorcycles, minus the ventriloquist dummy on the handlebars of one of the bikes.
You mean Hawk riding the bike while he's completely tuned up on how many pills?
Oh, my word. Yeah, greatest tag team of all time, JP, absolutely with you there. But probably could have been even better had they not had so many demons. You in agreement on that, Jeff? I think the Macho Man said it. But
I mean, their presence, though, in those years, they were like just so dominant and just like they really were like bigger than wrestling.
Yeah. It wasn't even like a work rate thing. You know, it was like they were physically dominant in the ring. They weren't putting on 5-star matches, but they were physically dominant in the ring. They made stuff that made you say, oh, bleep. And, you know, appearance and promo. Total package. Total package.
When they would come down with like the spikes and Iron Man blaring when they were in the NWA.
Stuff is about to go down. About to go down. 6 model chicks, 6 bottles of Chris. So I wanted to just say, you know, I have enjoyed the chat this evening. I think this is my first Joe show in a little bit. So it's nice to be in the YouTube chat. Some good positivity tonight. I'm trying to figure out if, you know, maybe that stream of income, maybe it's not from, you know, cutting the next hot wedding dance track or track that, you know, kids are going to dance to at camp. Somebody suggested OnlyFans is the way to go. Obviously, my looks aren't going to get me there, but aren't there like weird, well, I'm not going to call it weird. Aren't there like people who are obsessed with, you know, very specific things, right? So, you know, I have a mangled-looking thumb. Maybe I could show my mangled-looking thumb to the world. Who here has the is it you, Jeff? Do you have the messed up thumb?
Nope, my thumbs are good.
Good. I'm happy for you. Somebody here has like a half a thumb.
I have no idea. I never knew that.
It's a producer. Is it Skaz? No. Somebody's got like a tiny thumb. Anyways, mine is a little bit. It's a little bit mangled. Where's the camera? Is it over there? Where is that you?
Yeah, it zoomed right in on you.
There it is. That's what happens when you have thumb surgery. I had 2 thumbs on the same hand when I was born. So the result of the surgery is a mangled-looking thumb. Maybe people would pay to watch my mangled-looking thumb. Or maybe not, and I should just find another source of income here. I'm pointing at the wrong camera right now on the YouTube, kind of like the wrestler who's giving a promo but doesn't know what camera to look into. Usually Sid Vicious was the one doing that. Oh, boy. But we roll along towards 11 o'clock. Now, we were talking summer concerts earlier, and here's something that really caught my eye. It's interesting how the algorithms figure you out. And I'm on various socials. The only one that I'm going to be friends with you on, meaning you like a listener, would be Twitter. All the other stuff I generally keep private. But I was scrolling, maybe it was Facebook, and it was brought to my attention. Now, this is last week, but I had to keep this in my holster here. The Pop 2000 tour, Jeff, are you aware of this? Pop 2000 tour was coming to Westfield, Massachusetts at the Garden State Plaza. This was on Saturday, June 28th or 29th, so last weekend. Now, we had a host for the festivities, and it was actually a member of NSYNC. Now, there is one member of NSYNC who, like, hosting is kind of his profession, right? Joey Fatone.
Yes.
He's probably game shows, variety shows, you name it. Joey Fatone's out there. But no, this is Chris Kirkpatrick is bring that up right now so you can sing along. Oh man. Good grief, these comments in the oh no. These comments in the chat about my OnlyFans idea. O-Town was coming to Westfield. I got to find a review of this, actually. Also, DJ Scribble. Wasn't DJ Scribble... Didn't he have like a CD that was like a big seller?
Yeah, I believe so.
And didn't he like DJ for MTV as well? So DJ Scribble was out there. 55 years old. Wow. But two in particular. Ryan Cabrera is out there, a.k.a. Mr. Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss in 2019. They were engaged in 2020 and married in 2022 and had a daughter in 2023 named Hendrix. Hendrix Rouge Cabrera. What's in a name? Isn't Derek White's kid named Hendrix? And Rob Williams?
Doc Hendricks.
Doc Hendricks. Derek White's son is named Hendrix. Robert Williams' son is also named Hendrix. And they both had kids like the same year. Or their, significant others did. So there you go. Bob Williams no longer a Celtic. But yeah, Ryan Cabrera was there. And perhaps most interestingly to me, other than the fact that we had, one dude from 98 Degrees and the one remaining LFO member going out there, BB freaking Mac out in Westfield. I got to find some reviews of this. I got to find a review. Pop 2000 Tour. BB Mac. Pop 2000 Tour, Westfield. There was a sweepstakes. Boy band legends coming to Paramus, New Jersey. I mean, this thing's all over the place here. Pop 2000 Tour review. A must get to the big build here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were calling for the
that's okay.
the BB Mac commercial.
That's okay. I was kind of enjoying that right there.
That is a jam.
And another reason why I love Jeff Williams is just, you can't put Jeff inside of a box.
I'm all over the place, man.
This man's going to Metallica this summer. He's going to Limp Bizkit. He is an appreciator of the grocery store jam of the, late 90s, early 2000s TRL VH1 playlist. And I am as well. Despite my hardcore rap cred from back then, I appreciated the jam. But yeah, BB Mac, Bumblebee Tuna. Is this it? I mean, they sound good.
Tuna's what I'm craving for. 'Cause you're my snack cleaner, baby. Mix you, melt you, eat you up.
Mix you, melt you.
Bumblebee tuna.
I mean, good for BB Mac.
Nick wasn't there, though. Oh, yeah, that's right. Isn't that like the different companies, right? He's a Chicken of the Sea guy, right?
Well, see, he is not on the Pop 2000 tour, so we do not have dueling brands there. I guess he was a Chicken of the Sea guy. Yeah, Jeff Timmons, he's probably on Team Bumblebee. But anyways, I thought it was interesting. If anyone went to the Pop 2000 tour in Westfield, I was surprised to learn that this has been going on for several years now. I probably would have marked out a little bit for some of that. BB Mac I would have been high on. Ryan Cabrera, at least one song I would have been into. I don't know if I could deal with seeing one member of LFO. But you know what? That guy has a legacy, and he's the only one left, so someone's got to keep that legacy alive. Someone's got to sing every other time. Keep it up, homegirl. Don't you quit. You know, the way you scream is the ultimate. All right. I'm good. Let's take a little break. We'll hear about Red Sox Yankees and finish it up here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
It is my distinct pleasure to get to announce that the Red Sox game tonight has gone final. And it was a comeback win over the Yankees. They were down to their final out. In the top of the ninth inning, Clay Holmes on for the save. It was a Masataka Yoshida home run that scored Dom Smith after he got on to tie it up at 3, and then in extra innings, Ceddanne Rafaela scoring David Hamilton 5-3. Celtics closed out with Kenley Jansen collecting his 17th save in this one, and the Sox potentially. Tyler Milliken did not jinx this, so clearly I can't either. Potentially on their way to a sweep of the Yankees in the Bronx, despite the fact that, Garrett Cole's on the hill tomorrow against Josh Winkowski. Hey, let's give Winkowski his due. He was good last time out. John Deere Classic, CT Pan, Aaron Rye at the top, 14 under par. They're a stroke ahead of Harry Hall, heading into day 3 play there. At Wimbledon, Coco Gauff and Madison Keys, 2 American ladies moving along in the women's bracket. In the men's bracket, number 1 seed Yannick Sinner wins. Carlos Alcaraz needed 5 sets to advance to the quarters in a win over American Francis Tiafoe. WNBA tonight. One-game final. Dallas over Atlanta by an 85-82 margin. We got the Sparks up 2 on the Aces. That one with about 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Seattle leads Chicago 32-30. Angel Reese already on her way to another damn double-double. 10 points, 6 rebounds for her. And the New England Revolution in action tomorrow night. You can catch them against the Seattle Sounders FC. That's at 10:30. That one's way out on the West Coast being played. For the Revs, as they look to make it 2 in a row. Your Sports Up headlines brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Now open in Franklin, Billerica, and Peabody. I'm Sean Sylver, Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Satisfy sweet cravings at Whole Foods Market. Get 50% off ice cream and frozen desserts with Prime through July 16th. From rich chocolate swirls to fruity popsicles, stock up on your favorite summer treats. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
New Win Rewards members score big at Encore Boston Harbor. Choose between a $50 Encore promotional gift card or $50 in free play when you sign up for a Win Rewards card. Plus, earn just 1 tier credit on the day of sign up and play a game for a chance to win up to $10,000 in cash. You choose how you want to win with Win Rewards. Encore Boston Harbor, official resort and casino of the Boston Celtics and Banner 18. Visit EncoreBostonHarbor.com for more info. If you or a loved one is experiencing problems with gambling and needs support, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org to speak to a trained specialist. Specialists are available 24/7 and services are free, confidential, and available in multiple languages.
Hi, I'm Pat Keefe, president of NEMLIC, the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council, a partnership of 70 police and sheriff's departments in Middlesex and Essex counties to benefit public safety. Every day, our officers answer the call to protect and serve the community, and to do this, it's crucial that our members put their mental health first. Facing high-stress situations on the job can take a toll, and recognizing the effect it has on their mental health is a top priority. So talk to your peers and understand it's okay to ask for help. For more info, visit Nemlik.com or call 978-375-7214.